Now is when I'm going to start intros. So, welcome to this show, whatever it's called, the show that nobody listens to. And I'm your host, Chrono, also known as Gamers Tavern. I run the gamerstavern.com website. And with me, I have the only person that anybody listening to this is going to care about, Cybershell.
What's up, man? How's it going? What made you want to pick up your old podcast or possibly have a new podcast series after all this time?
I don't know. I'm a very just unexpected, spontaneous kind of guy. You know, I would start a podcast and then not do it for 6 years, and then just start another one, or possibly continue the old one. Just the kind of guy I am.
Hell yeah, dude! I'm all about that. I've always been like, oh, maybe I'll start a podcast. And I'm like, that's too much work. No, the world doesn't need another podcast. It's just too easy to talk myself out of it. But I do like appearing on other podcasts. It's like I don't have any problem doing appearances, so I'm down to hang out, talk about Sonic, whatever.
When you appear on other people's podcasts, you don't have to do much work. You just have to show up.
Exactly. That's exactly right. That's the real trick, guys. If you wanna be a podcaster, just find other people's podcasts to leech on.
Yeah, pretty much. So I think for this episode, we're going to talk about Sonic '06, just because it's the anniversary. It's kind of relevant now. I don't know when this episode is going to go up. Hopefully soon enough that it'll still be, the anniversary will still be relevant.
Right.
But, Cybershell is a Sonic lore master. He's kind of an expert on Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yep.
So it kind of makes sense to discuss some kind of Sonic-related stuff.
What can I say? I accidentally learned a lot of things about Sonic the Hedgehog over the years, and, once you learn it, you can't unlearn it. It's a lot harder than you'd think, at least. So, yeah, I wouldn't say I have, a specific specialty in '06, but any Sonic fan will certainly have their thoughts about that game for sure.
Yeah, you can't be a Sonic fan without having some kind of thoughts on Sonic '06.
Right. It's almost, I wouldn't say it's the most famous Sonic game. That's a little asinine. I mean, I think the first game and maybe one of the adventure games, but it weighs so heavily on the public conscious perception of Sonic, every person who thinks Sonic is bad, that in a way, well, it's a little bit of an overstatement, but it really changed the public perception of Sonic, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, that's true. It became basically like a meme. Everyone kept hating on Sonic '06 for years, and I think it's one of the reasons it became so popular and so notorious is because so many Let's Players did
Yep.
big, massive Let's Plays of it. I remember.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that even though I played Sonic '06 when it came out and I knew it was bad back then, I kind of have a lot of memories associated with it with regards to the Game Grumps Let's Play of it.
Right.
Because that was like one of the most popular Let's Plays back in the day of Sonic '06.
Yeah, that one is the one I hear people bring that one up all the time, especially when people are just even casually bringing up Game Grumps. And, I'm gonna be honest. I was never the biggest Game Grumps head, and it doesn't even be I swear this isn't even me being oh grr, I sure hate that Aaron Hansen for saying bad things about Sonic. I just if you know anything about me, I was doing Let's Play stuff on the SA subforum back in '07, '08, so I was just sort of not, I wouldn't say I was done or over Let's Plays, but I just didn't really feel the same urge to watch it as other people. But that one really, yeah, that one has a lot of views. That was early Game Grumps too. That was when it was still with JonTron, right? And they didn't even finish it. That's sort of I sort of jokingly say oh, that fucking bullshit Let's Play. They didn't even beat the game. They don't even deserve to complain about it because my first real exposure to Sonic '06 was I didn't play it when it was new. I was just sort of, which I know that sometimes shocks people, what, the Sonic guy didn't play? I wasn't always 100% all about Sonic all the time. In fact, that was sort of during a period where I was I was a teenager. I was I can't be seen playing kiddie games like Sonic. I still loved the old ones on the Genesis and stuff, and but I was I gotta play cool games like frickin' Halo and stuff. So yeah. But the PokeCapin Let's Play, I don't even know how many people listening to this, how well known that is. But yeah, PokeCapin and his friends, they did it wasn't one sitting, but they basically beat the game they played half of it or whatever, and then they went to sleep and they woke up and they beat the rest of it. And it was just made for a very entertaining series, and like watching the effects Sonic 06 has someone's like sanity as they try to beat the whole game. It was an amusing series of videos. It's like I was talking about this on my stream, which is like it's such an like it has funny story shit in it, but it has like funny moments in the gameplay via glitches and stuff, like gameplay via comedy that you just don't, or excuse me, comedy via like a gameplay that you just don't find in like other games. You know what I mean? Like even glitchy games, there's just something really funny about that game.
Yeah, it's definitely funny in a very unintentional manner.
Yes.
If it wasn't for like the fact that everybody's already over watching Sonic 06 Let's Plays, I would highly recommend watching the Game Grumps one, because it does get pretty funny watching their sanity, like you said, get sapped away over the course of the playthrough. And while they didn't beat it, they got actually surprisingly close.
They got into Silver Story at least, right? As long as you've seen all three types of the gameplay, then you've sort of got at least a taste, a sampling of what it was like. I do feel like if you don't know anything about Sonic 06 other than it's just the bad Sonic game, I just don't think you will fully be able to truly grasp like why do people hate it so much. Like it's so many different little things, like the loading screens, the glitches, the weird story, just the weird look of the game, the like default like is using the Havoc physics engine, but it just looks like one of those like default Unity store games you'd see now with like all the super generic buildings and stuff. And I didn't even fully comprehend how bad this was until I was playing it on stream and stuff. But like the slowdown, like you'll be running and the game just starts chugging and then it'll like speed up again and then it'll slow down again. It's so disorienting to play.
That's that's the long and short of it basically. But I started I actually played Sonic 06 shortly after it came out, I think. My memory on this is a little bit fuzzy because it's been so long ago, but I think the game was announced for the PS3 first, and then it came out on the 360 first. Is that correct?
I believe that's correct. Yeah, I always thought it was kind of interesting how it was like, here's the next gen Sonic the Hedgehog. And they were so excited that like they called the game Sonic the Hedgehog. The game is not called Sonic 06. The game is called Sonic the Hedgehog. But obviously, you can't call it that because that's the name of the series and that's the name of the first game in the series, which nobody calls Sonic the Hedgehog. They call it Sonic 1. So, of course, this one has to end up being Sonic 06. It's just become the default name that people use when discussing it.
Well, that's not even the official name. That's just the name people use when discussing it, as you said. But, usually they just call... When they title something like this, it's usually a reboot, but this isn't a reboot, so I'm not
so
sure why
weird.
they called it that.
It's like it's not a reboot because it's not like they're erasing anything that happened. In fact, like you don't need to know about everything that happened in the previous games, but it sort of implies you do with all the things about like Shadow and Rouge and like just the way they don't really bother explaining their like character relationships and stuff. But it's sort of a reboot like in tone. Like it sort of feels like they were going for a more serious tone, and like they redesigned Eggman to be like more realistic looking. But it's still not like it's not severe enough that I would call it like a reboot or anything.
Yeah, it's definitely doesn't feel like a reboot. This was kind of like the start of, at least I think for a lot of people, the start of what might be known as the Sonic cycle.
Right.
Where like a new Sonic game gets announced, everybody's really excited for it, and then when it finally comes out and people play it, it ends up being like one of the worst games ever.
Mm-hmm.
And then the disappointment sets in. So that I definitely felt that way when I first heard the announcement. Like I remember one of the first videos that was revealed of Sonic 06, back when it was supposed to be like a PlayStation 3 exclusive or whatever. It actually looked really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people were pretty optimistic from those trailers. Like the trailers made it seem pretty cool, and even like there was like an E3 build, which was like weirdly like more complete than the final version. So it's like it looked better than the game, like the actual final version, which is usually not how it works.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing. That build looked amazing, and everybody commented how great it looked.
Right. And it was like, no, you don't even expect to get a downgrade. Like, maybe, like it's one thing to see like, oh, the game looks better in trailers, but we're talking about like the playable E3 build was like better than the final version, which is just so bizarre. And yeah, I think the reason people were so like, the reason Sonic 06 is the worst game of all time in quotation marks because, there are worse games like Big Rigs, all this shit. But like, the reason it's the worst game is because people expected it to be good because it's Sonic. And people just were like, it was just a given that the Sonic game would be good. Like people, I don't want to get like too into the whole thing. It's not like there's a bunch of revisionist history. Like there were always people who didn't like the adventure games and stuff. And especially like Heroes and Shadow were starting to get less glowing reviews. Like, so the series had been sort of like trending slightly downward critically, but like for the most part, Sonic Team was still a respected developer and studio. Like people expected them to be able to make a good game. And even if you didn't like Sonic personally, like you wouldn't expect a Sonic 06 level disaster to be possible. You know what I mean? Like if Sonic 06 was some game like it was like a new IP, new characters, like nobody ever heard of it before. Like nobody would care. People wouldn't be making hundreds and hundreds of video essays like this is the worst game of all time. It would just be some like laggy, crappy, whatever game people forgot about.
Yeah, it wasn't. It's not like this is the first bad Sonic game.
Right.
There was there was Shadow the Hedgehog, which I think most people consider to be a bad game, and Sonic Heroes, which I guess is not that bad, but I personally didn't like Sonic Heroes that much.
Yeah, I'm not really crazy about either of those games. As I've gotten like older and now like just now that I can like look back at them with the hindsight, having seen how far the series has come, like there's things I can find to appreciate about them. But like in particular, Shadow's structure, the way you have to play it 10 times to get the true ending, and the way you have to play Heroes 4 times, that kind of shit always rubbed me the wrong way. But those games, Heroes particularly, still had plenty of fans. I don't even really... Shadow is pretty much like made fun of by a lot of people, but I think it still had fans, especially from like the younger Sonic fans of that generation. I just think it's funny when Sonic 06 came out, we were like laughing, like, oh boy, I can't wait. Like 15 years from now, all the little tiny babies who grew up playing this version are going to grow up and be like, oh, Sonic 06 was actually good, guys. And you can actually like find videos like that on YouTube. Like, no, Sonic 06 was actually good the whole time, guys. And it's like, I'm actually sympathetic to that as like a Sonic Adventure defender, because I played Sonic Adventure as a kid, and I'm sure that sort of affected my perception of it. But it's like, I don't know. There's just too many glaring like technical issues, and I don't know if you can say it's objectively bad that there was the whole cringy Sonic Elise romance, but like that was, that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. I appreciate Sonic 06 for what it's trying to do, the ambition it had, more than, the final product.
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why there was so much hype for Sonic 06 when it was first revealed, because it was going to be like, I think it was the first major HD Sonic game, and it was kind of going to be like a Sonic Adventure 3, basically, because it brought back the hub worlds and...
People are always crying for Sonic Adventure 3, but like, if you're being honest, like, it has almost everything that people would think of from a Sonic Adventure 3, at the multiple character storylines, the hub worlds, and...
I mean, it basically is Sonic Adventure 3. I don't know why
it really
they
is.
just call it that.
I don't know. Maybe they just didn't, like, they moved away from that titling for... Heroes and stuff, and like I guess they didn't want to scare off anyone with like the 3. It's like, oh, I don't want to buy this game if I haven't played the first 2. But it really is structurally like it is Sonic Adventure 3, and I actually think it's like good. Like the idea of a Sonic Adventure 3, like a Sonic Adventure game where you play as Sonic, Shadow, you spend most of the game playing as like regular, regular in quotation marks gameplay. You're not playing as Big the Cat. You're not playing as a mech shooter, which again, I actually don't mind the mech shooting in like treasure hunting stages, but I understand. Most people just want to play as like a Sonic guy in the Sonic stages. And the way 06 handled buddy characters, like, because you did play as Tails and Knuckles and stuff, but you would like get to a part in the middle of a stage and switch to them for a part specifically designed around them, ostensibly. I mean, plenty of those areas were reused, but like the way, like a lot of things about 06 are good on paper and make a lot of sense on paper,
Yeah, from a conceptual standpoint, a lot of the ideas in Sonic 06 are actually pretty good. It's just the execution that tends to ruin everything.
Mm-hmm.
But Sonic 06, it was supposed to be really cool. It was supposed to be really good. It was basically like Sonic Adventure 3. And like you, I also grew up playing Sonic Adventure 1, and I do like it, even though it's flawed.
Mm-hmm.
It is flawed, and a lot of people dislike it. And I think it's understandable. I feel like I can defend the Genesis Sonic games really well, because I feel like they're just basically objectively good.
Right.
But when it comes to Sonic Adventure 1, I do have to, concede, like, yeah, there's a lot of problems with it. It's not perfect.
Absolutely. Like when it, like I try not to like I understand people just have preferences. Like it's okay to not like the Genesis games, but like when I see people are like those are just objectively bad games because you're supposed to go fast, but you can't see what's in front of you. It's like I can't handle that kind of bullshit. But like I feel like especially now like with Mania out, I feel like the Genesis games, people relatively understand that they're good. And even like the adventure games, I feel have a more mixed reputation. And I understand the same way, where it's like, if someone's like, I don't like the big stages, I don't like the mech stages. It's like, okay, that's fine. I totally get that. But they have the very dedicated, diehard community who loves those adventure games. So I feel like they still get a good amount of appreciation.
Yeah, and Sonic 06 could have been like even better than Sonic Adventure because of the idea of because when you think about it, the main thing people hate about Sonic Adventure is Big the Cat.
Mainly, honestly, like that's the thing people just can't get over. Like, yeah, I just you don't see people complain about like Gamma's story probably because it has a cool like story, like or like the gameplay is fun and easy and it's pretty short and the story's good. So there's not much to complain about. It's not like it doesn't feel like it's interrupting you the way it does in Sonic Adventure 2. And same way with like Knuckles, like you don't feel like you're getting interrupted with these treasure hunting stages. You're like, okay, I'm going to play Knuckles' story now. When you really get into that mode and it like feels more natural, I guess. So yeah, really big is like just the main thing people complain about when they're just like, oh, Adventure is so bad. There are things to complain about with Sonic's gameplay, it's not like a perfect, an infallible representation of the 2D games or whatever. Like you can say the spin dash is overpowered, but like most people understand that's just kind of fun to fuck around with, and it's not like it ruins the game or anything. But I do understand why they toned down the spin dash in SA2.
But the crazy thing is that Sonic Adventure 1 was basically the first proper 3D Sonic game, and
Yeah.
It's not perfect, I think, but I think
Right.
they did pretty good.
That's exactly right. That's another reason I'm like so inclined to make excuses for. I mean, I'm a total adventure apologist, where it's like, yeah, it's like it was their first try, guys. You got to cut them some slack. It was their first try, and I'll always say like converting Sonic into 3D. It's just making Sonic games in general. It's just going to be objectively harder because it's harder to make games around a character who can go fast because you just have to make more level and it has to be able to be be able to react to it and stuff. It's just harder to make like that's why there's like some fan made like Sonic Maker like programs out there, like Mario Maker, where you can make levels, but like I just have way less faith in Sonic fans' ability to make a good Sonic level. You know what I mean? I feel like it's just way harder than it is to make a good Mario level, and most Mario Maker levels are bad, but the thing is, there's so many of them. You can just it's easier to find the cream of the crop, the 1% that rises to the top. So I guess that would be true for Sonic, but we'll see. I'm not saying don't feel discouraged to make a Sonic level if you think you want to. Like if you want to, go for it, but it seems like it would be hard to me as someone who's not really a level designer.
Yeah, it's probably pretty difficult, but I mean, some people have done it, and some of it
the Mania guys
is
did a
good.
great job, so it's possible.
Yeah, I was going to say that the Sonic Mania guys have made some pretty good Sonic levels, so it's possible. But the weird thing about Sonic Adventure 1 when compared to Sonic 06 is that Sonic Adventure 1 was the first try, and it was pretty good for a first try, but the thing is, by Sonic 06, they should have like learned a lot
Yeah.
about how to do Sonic in 3D, and it's like worse than Sonic Adventure 1 by like miles.
Right. Again, theoretically, someone could excuse that, be like, "Well, it's their first time on this new hardware." But come on, like exactly when you're comparing it to Sonic Adventure 1, and like it feels worse to move around. The spin dash is like a joke. It's just so much of it feels worse than SA1, and it's just like, ugh. That's really why it's like hard for me to get into it, just because like every time I'm playing the game, I'm just like I'd rather be playing Sonic Adventure to be honest.
Yeah, Sonic Adventure feels like one of the best games ever made when compared
Yeah.
to Sonic 06.
Honestly, Sonic Adventure 1 is one of those games, well, a lot like the Genesis games, where it's like your first time plop down into it. It might feel kind of janky. I'm certain the game is a little janky. It might take a little while to get used to it. I'm not trying to say it's like an unplayable glitch fest or anything, but like it might take a little while. But once you really get control of it, once you sort of get the hang of it, like you have very good control over Sonic. Like you can do these really tight turns with the spin dash, and just it feels really fun and good to play once you get the hang of it. Where that I guess to an extent that might be true in Sonic 06, but I always just felt like I was wrangling the character, desperately trying to get them to do what I want, not like expertly pulling off these cool moves and stuff.
Yeah, the jank is something that has always been a part of the Sonic series. Even those classic Sonic games are a little bit glitchy.
There's that infamous thing in the Sonic 3 manual where it's like sometimes you'll get trapped by one of Dr. Robotnik's nefarious traps and you'll be stuck and you'll just have to reset the console or wait until time runs out.
Oh, yeah,
it's like they're trying to
contextualize
the glitches in the manual, which is very funny to think about, honestly.
Yeah, I don't think I noticed that as a kid when I looked through those manuals, but I saw somebody point that out in the last few years.
To be fair, it's extremely rare for that kind of stuff to happen in the Genesis games. They were just like, it was almost like just like a fail safe, like just in case. Like those games are not really known for being that glitchy, at least not to my knowledge. I really don't have any problems with them.
Well, they're way less glitchy than the 3D Sonic games, but compared to, let's say, a 2D Mario game, I think the Genesis games are a little bit glitchier.
Sure.
Like, for example, in Sonic 2 and Chemical Plant Zone, you can sometimes go so fast that you'll just die.
That is a very strange one, and I have seen that happen. I've played Sonic 2 enough times, of course that's happened, but it's like, I don't know, there's just a thing with Sonic where it's like, some people, when they just die and it's not their fault, they just completely, they can't take it. They're like, this is a bad game. It's a bad game because I died. It's not my fault. Some people just sort of shake it off and keep going. And yes, if that death that wasn't your fault is the one that leads you to getting a game over, having to do a whole stage, or God forbid, the entire game over again, if it's on the Genesis and stuff, like, I get it, Mario games, just by their nature, being more slow, more methodical, it's like, you walk forward to Mario, you see a challenge, you, like, visualize how to do it in your head, and then you do it. Whereas in Sonic, you have to be, like, going fast, you have to, like, doing these crazy reactions and stuff, and, like, I always just like the multi-tiered stages of a Sonic level, where it's like, there's the middle path, there's the top path, there's the bottom path. I don't really care, like, about seeing every single inch of the stage, whereas in Mario, it's like, you'll fly above the stage with the cape or feather or the raccoon tail, and you'll find a secret platform, and you get a bunch of coins. But the reward is that you're like, you have to skip out the actual designed level beneath you and stuff. I always sort of just felt like, oh, now I have to play the level again if I actually want to play the level,
Yeah, that was an issue particularly with Super Mario World, because in Mario
that one,
3,
yeah,
you can't really fly over stuff unless you use the P-Wing.
Mm-hmm. For sure. To be fair, that was I actually mostly played World, and then I had Mario All-Stars. I did play 3 a lot. 3 is really good. I actually, like, as a kid, I always thought World was better just because it's newer, it has stuff, but 3 has more challenge, and there's a lot of really good stuff about 3. I do like the Mario games. Sometimes I, like, ironically, like, fuck Mario and stuff, but so people, in case you actually thought that was serious, I do really like the Mario series as well. I mean, it'd be kind of weird to not, like, the Sonic series is basically just like a spin on the Mario, like obviously that famous story, they were playing Mario the first level, and it's like, if you want to play the game again, you have to get through that first level, so you just get good at doing it as fast as possible. And they're like, well, it'd be kind of fun to have a game like this where you're just going as fast as possible. It's like, but that's what the game's about,
Yeah,
they made Sonic.
Well, as far as the glitchiness of the old Sonic games are concerned, though, it's pretty rare to encounter those glitches. Like, for example, I have died in Chemical Plant Zone in the way that I described, but it almost never happens to me. Mm-hmm. And I've beaten Sonic 2, much like you, basically a million times. So it's this is something that I learned back when I tried programming a bit, because I did a little bit of just as a hobby, I did a little bit of game programming like 10, 15 years ago. And I noticed that when you have a game where you're moving really fast, it becomes harder to prevent collision glitches.
Mm-hmm. Collision is just such an interesting topic in terms of games in general. Like, yeah, it's that kind of stuff is way more complicated than I thought. I'm not even a programmer. I've only dabbled a little bit and, messed around in, like, RPG Maker and stuff. But, like, just seeing that kind of stuff, like, yeah, I can understand that being hard to program. And that's why I sort of understand why the 3D games are more glitchy, because it's a whole other freaking dimension you have to worry about, and, like, all these other things. So it's like, okay, yes, you can clip out of bounds pretty easily in a lot of these 3D Sonic games, but I think one thing also that happens, like I was explaining earlier with in Sonic Adventure 1, like, I just, like, subconsciously learned how to avoid the jank, the bad jank, the good jank that I know how to, like, use to my advantage. Obviously I don't avoid, but I always see, like, I'll watch, like, a new player play a Sonic game for the first time, and they're, like, making all these mistakes that, like, I would never make. But, like, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm like, logically, of course, a new player would make that mistake. Like, I'm not like judging them for it. I'm just like, oh yeah, that's what it's like to not be good at Sonic and not just have, like, Sonic baked in your gamer DNA.
Yeah, sometimes I enjoy watching people play games for the first time that I'm quite good at, because it kind of reminds me of the first time I might have played those games.
Right, for sure.
Because they'll make all the same mistakes that I made the first time around. So it's like I was watching Gib play Super Mario Bros. 1.
Right, right. Yeah, I saw she was streaming that. Those games, that SMB1 is a hard game. It honestly is. Like, you really, like, there's not a lot of, not a lot of room for error in that one. It's very, like, you make a jump, you're, like, committed to it, you know?
Yeah, by today's standards, that game is pretty hard.
Right.
But by the standards of the mid '80s, that game was actually, one of the easier
That's
games.
what games exactly. People talk. I don't even know if people understand. Like people used to just say Nintendo hard all the time because you would say Nintendo hard and it would be evocative of games like Ninja Gaiden and stuff. But nowadays Nintendo's not really known for making hard games, so maybe that phrase has sort of died out. But yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Like Super Mario Bros. 1 was not hard by that like standard. Like it was just if you could just pick up Mario 1 or like Sonic 1 or 2 and just beat it on your first try without getting a game over, like the game would be just done in like an hour, or less. So like the games were sort of built around the idea that yes, of course you're going to have to die a lot and like learn the game more slowly than just, I don't know. I'm not even being like, "Oh, how dare Zoomers not like games or whatever that are hard," because it's like I don't know. They're just a certain kind of people who just expect to play a game and, the thought of like getting to World 4 and then getting a game over is like, what? That can't happen. They can't make you lose this much progress.
Yeah, it was certainly a different time, and games were designed differently back in those days. It had a lot to do with technology because back then, allowing a player to save their progress would mean they need to put special hardware into the cartridge,
Right.
which would be really expensive and drive up the cost of the cartridge.
And home consoles were barely removed from arcades at that time, which were like, of course, deliberately designed around killing you, because killing you directly equals in more quarters. Like, I always thought it was interesting how arcade games had to have that balance of the game has to be fun. Like, you have to want to keep playing after you die, but it has to kill you a lot. Or, it doesn't have to kill you a lot, but it has to have a good degree of difficulty. Yeah, like comparing like Super Mario Bros. 1 to even just like Donkey Kong for the arcade, like that's another. I'm not saying this as like an insult, like the game is bad because it's stiff, but like I would say it feels like kind of stiff. Like, again, the jumps are very locked in. You really have to not fuck up in that kind of game.
Yeah, I sure played a lot of the original Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong 64.
Yeah, that's where I had to. It's so funny that wasn't like just like here's a cool optional thing you can unlock, kids. Look at this cool piece of Nintendo and rare history with jetpacks. Like, no, you fucking kids have to beat it with one life on the hard setting to get the freaking Nintendo coin to beat King K. Rool.
That's really weird because it's even harder in Donkey Kong 64 than the original arcade game because you have only one life.
Yeah,
I don't know why they did that.
I don't know why they did. Why did they do that? Like that really trained me to be like, now I can like see Donkey Kong in an arcade and I wouldn't say easily on my first try necessarily, but I can pretty easily get through the main 3 boards or whatever. And there was obviously that 4th board on the 64 version. But yeah, God, it really was. That was a tough challenge to just insist kids be able to do, honestly. I knew people who were like, yeah, I just couldn't do it. I just could not do it.
Yeah, it's surprisingly difficult. I feel like Donkey Kong 64 is it's kind of like another Sonic 06, but not as bad.
It really is. Like, it's just a very interesting, like, it's just an interesting, like, nexus point for the series because it's like Donkey Kong 64, interesting, like, not a commercial failure to my knowledge. I believe it sold pretty well, and they had all these Donkey Kong 64 themed, especially themed N64s, like they were transparent. I remember I have a lot of fond memories of that game, and I think it even got pretty good reviews and stuff when it came out. But like, obviously, the sands of time have made people look back and like, this is just the most bloated collectathon of all time. And I don't know. I have mixed feelings. Like, everyone who says everything bad about DK64, they're basically all right. But it's just like part of me still kind of likes that game. Like, there's good parts and good little sub challenges, like fun rooms in the game. And like, I understand the inclination to like, oh, let's have our game crammed with content. Isn't that great value? It's like at a certain point, it just becomes like bloat, But I always thought it was interesting. Like, they never tried to do another 3D Donkey Kong game. That's the only 3D Donkey Kong game, right? Am I wrong? Was one of the fucking like Bongo games 3D or something? Because I mean, like 3D, you can move a 3D area. I know a lot of there's like 3D, 2.5D games, which are all great, by the way. The Donkey Kong series is a great series.
Well, as far as 3D platformers are concerned, where you actually move in 3D, I'm pretty sure Donkey Kong 64 was the only one.
Right. It's just weird. Like, you just would. I mean, I guess it's not even like weird. Like, not every series needs to be 3D like that, but you just would have expected it to be. Like some series tried 3D, like Rayman was in 3D now. Well, I guess Rayman's mostly just a dead series, but they sort of have those 2D games. He was consumed by the Rabbids for a while, so yeah, he is another weird franchise.
Well, it's Donkey Kong 64 is certainly better than Sonic 06 at the very least.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's true. Although if you put a gun to my head and said, would you rather beat Sonic 06 or 100% complete DK64? I'd rather beat Sonic 06 because it's like shorter, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, but what if you had to 100% Sonic 06?
okay, then I'd rather do DK64 because I wouldn't know. I don't even know what crazy bullshit medals and stupid submissions and like if 100%ing Sonic 06 involves getting all S ranks or whatever, then fuck that. Then yeah, then I would rather. Guess you got me there, but I don't know. I feel like you're kind of...
You gotta compare the rights...
To be fair...
You're comparing apples and oranges,
True.
100%ing versus beating.
Then again, it's a collectathon. You're sort of expected to 100% a collectathon, whereas I don't think anyone really expects you to full S-rank mission clear everything in Sonic 06. But, you are right. It is comparing apples and oranges to an extent. But they're just both interesting games.
Maybe not S-ranking, but at the very least, like, completing every single mission.
Right.
And that alone would be a nightmare because the missions
there's a lot of
are
bad missions. I forgot that. I was on my stream. Like, people don't even talk about how bad some of these missions are when they're railing against the game because they're optional, and rightfully so. There's no reason to go absolutely ham on optional content like it ruins the game or anything, which I guess is sort of also kind of true for DK64. But I just feel like, again, in a collectathon, you're really implied, like, a good amount of people should want to 100% the game. Like every time I load up Banjo-Kazooie, I 100% that game because that's just a very nice, digestible game-sized game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's definitely more of an imperative to get 100% in a collectathon like that. And I think also in Donkey Kong 64, you basically almost have to 100% it in order to even just beat it.
Yeah, to be fair, that's definitely true in Banjo. I don't know why. Like in Mario 64, they had a very great, like, you only have to get 70 fucking stars. Like, and you can really leave a lot on the table. It's like 50 stars. So it's a lot. You can basically leave all the hard stars if you don't want to get them. Whereas in Banjo, you need 94 jiggies. You can only leave 6 jiggies on the table, which again doesn't really bother me because I was going to 100% the game anyways. And you do need to get a lot of collectibles to beat DK64, but I don't know how close you have to get to be like 100%. Like I kind of forgot that, to be honest.
Yeah,
you need a lot
I
of
don't
bullshit
remember,
though.
but I'm pretty sure it's similar to Banjo-Kazooie in that you need almost like
Right.
maybe you need like, I don't know, 90%.
You need a lot.
To beat the
I think
game.
it's less than 90, but it's a lot. It's at least like it's a good amount. Plus, as we were discussing earlier, you need a lot of just random shit like the rare coin and Nintendo coins. So you have to do Jetpack and the arcade version of Donkey Kong. So yeah, they really don't fuck around.
Actually, I played that Jetpack game in Donkey Kong 64, and it's surprisingly pretty decent.
Yeah.
For one of those old arcade games.
I don't know if it's just because I was tortured so hard by the arcade version of Donkey Kong, but like by comparison, Jetpack was a breeze. I didn't find it that hard to. I don't even remember what it was. I think you have to get like a certain amount of points to get the coin. I can't remember, but I remember it wasn't even nearly as hard as a Nintendo coin, and because of that, I actually like had a good time. Yeah, Jetpack is honestly kind of a fun little like arcade game. I always like in playing games like that and just being like, damn, this is what it was like for these guys back then, in Britain with their little ZX Spectrum. Like this is how complex games could be, and they weren't playing these like, oh, I wish I was playing a giant epic adventure on a Donkey Kong Gorilla Island. They're just like, wow, this is it. They weren't like, they were satisfied with it. Like I don't know, not that you can't be satisfied with it now, but like they were just like, this is it. This is the peak of video games.
Well, I suppose the modern equivalent now would be like a smartphone game.
Right. Yeah, it's like perfectly simple, digestible, like you can grasp the entire concept in like just a minute. There's something very pure and great about these games. They're like easy to understand, but hard to master. Games like Tetris, everyone says Tetris is great because they're right. I mean, it is. It's such a perfectly, like, feels like Tetris wasn't even like made. It was like discovered. It was like a math like equation, you know what I mean? Like it's just, of course that game exists. Like if it almost feels like if Alexei Pajitnov didn't make Tetris, someone else would have just made it. But like that's very reductive to say. Like we don't even know if that's true or not. Although plenty of like games like Tetris have been made, like Puyo Puyo and stuff. Like it's possible to think someone else could have come up with that, I guess. But still, he did it, so he deserves the credit.
Yeah, a lot of these games from the early 80s, they have a particular charm to them in the way that they're so simple, but so like, they're like so perfect in the concept that the execution of the concept is basically like perfect.
Yeah, it's exactly what it was trying to be. Like, it's completely realized. And yeah, it's like, obviously the games are more simple back then, but, you know, you could really, I don't want to say get like immersed in them, but like you could really just, focus on those mechanics and figure out like the maximum enjoyment you can get out of those games.
Yeah, there's a strange appeal of just playing a game like Pac-Man where you just pick it up and play it for however long you want to play it, and then you just stop playing whenever you feel like.
Yeah,
Definitely,
Pac-Man, great example.
It's definitely a different way of doing game design compared to like in the late 80s and early 90s when they went to like an adventure kind of deal where
Right.
you start
I was
in
just
World
thinking,
1
like,
and you progress.
people used to be completely satisfied with being told your challenge is to get the high score. Like, you tell a modern gamer, like, get the high score, that nobody cares about getting score. Like, score was like a vestigial element all the way into like Mario Bros. 1 even and stuff. Like, people thought there was like a score meter which like only existed to give you those extra 1-ups from bouncing that Koopa shell. You know what I mean? Like, nobody cared about getting a high score. Like, today, nobody cares about getting a high score in Mario or Sonic. It's all about speed runs, which is like a kind of high score, but you understand it's like a different thing, right? It's a speed run. It's like a whole separate kind of challenge than the high score of like a Pac-Man, where, you know, Pac-Man's again a different thing because it became a solved game or whatever, and you know, you can get a perfect game of Pac-Man now. But the idea of a high score, the driving force of just how high can you get this number, and then can you put the reward is like you get to put your little initials on a board that anyone who walks by can see. It's like, I don't know. It's like, because I guess arcade games always used to just be like, get people hyped up by having people look over your shoulder as you're playing, like, oh, what's this cool game? And then once you like can have a high score, it's like, whoa, I can like leave my mark on the game.
Well, arcade games were supposed to be like fast-paced and streamlined and short because you have to stand
Right.
in order to play them.
Actually, I've been playing a lot of Yakuza, and like all the like legitimate like style Club Sega arcades, they have like sitting arcades over there, which is crazy. Like, I mean, not only, but like it's way more common to have arcades like in front of like a little stool and you just sit down and play.
But I guess that's is that like a modern arcade thing, or is that?
I don't know. I'm gonna have to look into this, but yeah, it might. I think it's like just like the arcades in general. They've just been more focused on like sitting, but like you're right. There's been plenty of standing arcades, and standing makes way more sense because you want someone to put their money in and then, you know, get tired and go away. You don't want the Billy Mitchells to put one quarter in a freaking Pac-Man thing and then just stay there for like 4 hours. You know what I mean? That's not like a good profit margin.
Yeah. Those old arcade games have their appeal. I like to play them from time to time, but I do prefer like having a sense of progression because I think
Right.
that's what those games lack for the most part.
For sure. I like to beat a game, you know, and be done with it.
Yeah. Most of those games there are just a single screen that keeps looping over and over, and the difficulty just raises in terms of the enemy AI or whatever.
Right.
So having having a sense of progression where you start at the first world and you progress all the way to the final area and beat the final boss, that's something that I ultimately I think prefer.
Absolutely. And it's because I just grew up in like the Genesis Super Nintendo era where that was just the default. Like in my mind, the platonic ideal of what a video game is, yeah, like you go through levels and then you beat the final boss. Like I know not every game has a final boss, et cetera, but like that's just what it's like the basic structure of a game is like. Whereas yeah, people who grew up in like the 70s and 80s, like yeah, they have like that one screen perception, like, you know, it's just so funny to me to imagine like Super Mario Bros. 1, which took inspiration from like Pac-Man World, I believe, or whatever it was called. Like the idea of just scrolling the screen was like an innovation, like holy shit. And then as soon as they had like screen scrolling games, I know there were screen scrolling games in the arcade too, but like, you know, once that was like a thing, it just felt like the whole Pandora's box of like real video game worlds had opened up, you know?
Yeah, I believe the game that Miyamoto was inspired by was I think called Pac-Land.
Yeah, it was Pac-Land, or it was a side-scrolling Pac-Man game, which was just such a weird concept too. Like I love that Pac-Man, like he couldn't just be this weird pizza-shaped dot guy. Like they had to like give him arms and legs and have like this weird interpretation of. I'm not even shitting on like quote unquote modern Pac-Man, even though that's not like a modern design. I don't know what else to call him, but like, you know. He has those 3D games on like I think those are the Pac-Man World. Those are on like the PS1 and then the GameCube and stuff. People love those games and they seem actually pretty interesting. I've just never been a big Pac head. I'm not a Pac guy, sorry.
Yeah, I'm more of a Sonic guy than a Pac guy as well.
Yeah, me too.
But I did own a Pac-Man World for the PS1, and I played it, but I did not beat it because it's extremely hard.
Right, right.
So maybe someday I'll go back and beat it. Now that I'm older and better at video games.
For sure.
But I did beat Pac-Man World 2, I think, for the GameCube.
Right. That's the one I see most people talk about.
I think maybe also there was a third one on the GameCube that I might have played and beaten. I can't remember.
Right. It's I'm surprised. I mean, not surprised at all because he's such an iconic character, but like I'm proud of Pac-Man for continuing to exist in today's modern society or whatever. There was like that like championship edition or anniversary edition. There was some really good actual version of Pac-Man that came out that everyone was talking about loving a few years back, and I remember trying that and I was like, yeah, this is good. This is good. It's always just interesting to see games like that, and like Tetris get new versions, like the Tetris effect and stuff. Like those games will continue to just be relevant forever.
Yeah, it's. I think there was a. I don't know if it's the championship edition you're talking about, but there was a Pac-Man that's kind of like. It was kind of like that Tetris game where the multiplayer Tetris game where you play with a bunch of other players.
Oh right, right. Yeah,
I forget what it was called.
Battle
Tetris
Royale.
99, I think.
I know exactly
99.
what you're talking about, but I also forgot the names. Yeah, it's funny seeing even like older games like that be sort of repurposed for the battle royale genre explosion. Even though it's like not exactly the same as Fortnite is because you're not dropped into one world, but you are against a bunch of other players in a multiplayer thing. It's kind of interesting, honestly. That's the hot shit. That's the thing everyone's obsessed with now. Because I mean, you just couldn't have like massive multiplayer connections like that in the past. I mean, you sort of could, but like the idea of like dropping 100 people into one map, like, oh, that's crazy. I mean, I know they had big like maps in Battlefield 1942 if you're one of those like PC guys, but I don't know. It's just interesting seeing the way PC or not PC, excuse me, like just like multiplayer games in general have like changed over time.
Yeah, and one of the first ones which I played, embarrassingly at this point, is EverQuest. Remember that?
Yeah, hell yeah, dude. That used to be it. That used to be the shit. That was before WoW took the throne, the king, the Lich King's throne of being the top MMO, which I guess it's like losing now to Final Fantasy 14 or whatever. I'm sorry, I'm not an MMO guy, so I don't want to like talk out of turn here. But to my knowledge, but that's sort of what's going on. Plus all the Blizzard lawsuit bullshit. That's can't be helping their image or whatever. I don't know. I just don't have it in me to like sink the time into an MMO anymore. Like I like the idea of being like super deep in an MMO, but like it's just such a time investment. But I did enjoy it back in the day.
I'm not into MMOs either, but
Right.
back then, when EverQuest first came out in the late '90s,
It was
it
cool.
was like it
was
was
like,
such it was such a interesting new concept, and I had a friend who was into it, so I just wanted to try it.
Yeah, I dabbled a little bit. I don't think I ever played EverQuest, but like I played weird old MMOs like Asheron's Call, and I was just like, "What the hell is this? This is insane! All these people are real people. They're like actual humans running around. What? That's crazy." Whereas now it's like that's just like, well, yeah, of course, that's just what online games are. That's not even really that impressive to anyone.
Yeah, and the thing that kind of weirds me out is that nobody talks about EverQuest anymore, even though it was basically what inspired World of Warcraft.
It was WoW before WoW, and it wasn't quite as like big. Obviously, it didn't have the size, the same player base, but it was very, very, very popular and big, and like it was the popular MMO for a while, which is saying something.
Yeah, and now it's nobody even knows what it is anymore.
I feel like some people must like if you're like, I guess your average gamer. That's actually a good point. I guess, yeah, again, I try not to rail too much about Zoomers. I don't want to seem like some bitter old man or whatever, especially since we're not even that old, come on. But like, yeah, like, do they even know about EverQuest? Do they know? Do they care? Should they care?
Well, I don't think they should, but I just never hear anybody mention it anymore. And whenever I mention it, they usually have no idea what I'm talking about. So.
That's crazy. That's just one of the games I just assume people should know, like as part of your gamer lore history. Like you don't have to know any. Like I don't expect you to know deep mechanics about EverQuest or anything, but like you should at least know that predated World of Warcraft.
Yeah, I think it's just that maybe people of our ilk know about it, but younger people have no reason to know about it. So I suppose that's why.
Well, something kind of interesting about that is like, if I want to tell a younger person go play Sonic 1, they can. If I want to tell them go play EverQuest, I can't. I mean, even if there is some like group of dedicated fans who are like hosting like recreation, like private servers, which are very cool, by the way. I'm glad that people keep these old games alive like that, but it's just not the same. And those old EverQuest servers aren't for like getting in the younger generation into playing EverQuest 1. It's just for the old boomers to fucking hang out in a comfy old MMO that's dead. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Actually, I'm not sure, but I think EverQuest still has servers you can join and play.
That's crazy. I didn't even think about that, but like, I wouldn't be surprised if some of those old MMOs they just kept supporting their thing because it's not even that expensive, especially considering if they're not getting the kind of traffic that would make it expensive. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I wouldn't recommend anyone play it, even if it does exist.
Right.
Because EverQuest is not. It's not good. I'll be honest. It's pretty bad.
A lot of these early MMOs, like there was some early Star Wars MMO. I can't feel bad. I don't know if it was Galaxy or what it was called, but like there was one like they just had very strange like class systems, and they were just so obtuse and confusing, and like there were so many weird things you had to do, and it was really hard to find out information back in the day. Even like, on WoW, even when like I remember I played during WoW like when that was new. Not like a lot. I was never a huge WoW guy, but like. It was before YouTube tutorials. It was before so much. There were a few information sites like like Thoughtbot and stuff, but for the most part, it was just way harder to find information online. It wasn't quite like I don't know. It's good. I think it's good that it's easy to find information online. This isn't even me being like, the good old days of not being able to fucking learn anything. But it definitely made the like games feel harder than they actually were. You know what I mean? Like people had such a romanticized view of like, WoW was so hard. WoW Classic. Or vanilla WoW was so hard, and then WoW Classic came out, the official recreation, and then like all the content got cleared instantly because it's a solved game. People just knew what to do, you know what I mean? They completely built it up in their heads over the years, and it just wasn't, the reality didn't quite live up to that, because the reality is people are just like worse at video games and MMOs, and specifically back when those games were new, you know what I mean? They've had so many years to increase the complexity of mechanics and stuff over time, do quality of life changes and stuff.
Yeah, back in my day, EverQuest didn't even have a map.
Exactly. And that, because there's something special about that that's like, you really like, I don't know if you're expected to really draw your own damn map on graph paper or something. And I'm not even saying like it's always better to have less quality of life things or whatever, but there's some quality about that that's hard to pinpoint. It's hard to get, but that something like that sort of adds to the mystique, the charm of it all. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I don't want to go on a EverQuest tangent,
right.
But one of the things that really would be completely unacceptable nowadays that EverQuest did back when I played it is that if you wanted to travel on ships, you would literally have to wait at a port for a ship to show up, sometimes for like 10 to 15 minutes. And then when a ship showed up, you would have to get on the ship and wait on the ship for like 20 or 30 minutes to get to the other port.
Right.
It was just completely, nowadays it's completely ridiculous to expect a player to like have to actually
wait for the bus. But it is funny because like, this was something that's sort of true. Again, I didn't play EverQuest. I can only speak from my experiences playing like vanilla WoW and stuff. But like, yeah, like something about that, there were ships in WoW too, but the timer was probably way, way, way smaller than that. You only like a couple minutes at a time. But even then it was just like, you're like, damn, this is a real world that I have to move around in. I can't just be teleporting here, teleporting there. And there were obviously portals and stuff, but like there was just way more emphasis on like the actual being out in the world and existing. Whereas I feel like nowadays, yeah, exactly. Gamers just don't have the patience to put up with that shit. Whereas back then they were just like, oh, I guess this is just how it is, Whereas if you did that now, there'd be all these like threads, like forum threads and angry videos like, the fucking wait time on this is unacceptable. What the fuck?
Yeah. Well, I can't say there wasn't some sort of strange appeal to it, but it's definitely kind of not acceptable, honestly.
I appreciate it when games don't like deliberately waste your time. So like I'm not like I don't know, I'm not even sure what kind of impression I might be giving off to like MMO players. Like, what does this guy even want an MMO to be? Does he want it to be as shitty as possible? Like I totally get where you're coming from. It's just like, I don't know. MMOs are just different nowadays, I guess. I say that as someone who doesn't play one, but like from my perspective, that's what it seems like.
Well, I don't like MMOs in general, which is why I don't play them anymore.
Right. Not throwing shade, but it's just like, come on, guys. Think about how much time an MMO takes. You can basically play an MMO, or you can play other video games. And I decided I'd rather play every other video game, you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's basically why I stopped playing MMOs and instead started playing Sonic 06.
Hell yeah, dude. That's the dream is a massively multiplayer online Sonic 06 experience, but we can only hope someday. Well, I was going to say, I forgot to mention this earlier when we are talking about Sonic 06, is that that's another series, or I mentioned that has dedicated fans. It has the Project 06, like there's a fan recreation of it on PC, like from the ground up, but it's like so faithfully, or not even faithfully accurate. It's like accurate to how Sonic 06 should have been. Like it's including a lot of cut content, which there was a surprising amount of cut content from Sonic 06, and just new additions, quality of life things, and it's just like, it's still Sonic 06 at its core. Like it does, it's not gonna fix the game and make it like all of a sudden it's 10 out of 10 now, but you can experience the game just if you're going to play Sonic 06 and you're not deliberately looking for the quote unquote authentic experience like me, that's why I played it on the PS3. If you're interested in Sonic 06, like check out Project 06. It's not done yet. It's just the action stages for Sonic and Shadow released right now. But someday it'll be done.
Yeah, I heard you mention this a few times on your stream.
Right.
And I kind of quickly gathered what it's about because I hadn't heard it before that.
Mm-hmm. This isn't me throwing shade, but Project 06, it's not the worst title, but it's like not necessarily like, it's a little like you have to explain what it is to people. Like it's kind of, I don't know. I guess I wouldn't want it to be called Sonic 06 Remake. That's a stupid title too, but I guess I don't even know what I'm saying here. But yeah, it is
hopefully, hopefully I guess Sega doesn't cancel it.
Yeah, Sega in general has been way more chill with like fan projects, and like, or I guess both of them, but like, this one in particular is like, I think the stated goal, I think the final version will include like the cutscenes and it'll basically just be the game. You know what I mean? Like it's basically just re-releasing the game, the like entire fucking game for, I guess, free. I mean, I can't imagine that he would charge for it. So free. And the only reason, there's two reasons why I think they might not care. One is just that they're cool, they're chill. I mean, they're not actually cool. They're a fucking corporation, but they've just been like, well, this isn't actually harming us, and if anything, it's actually kind of helping us. So let's not do anything about it. And two is that they just don't acknowledge Sonic 06. Like they would have to acknowledge Sonic 06 to even stop this. You know what I mean? Like just recently, like Unleashed and a couple other Sonic games got like announced that they're going to get like an FPS boost on the Xbox backwards compatibility program, but like, they didn't mention Sonic 06. It's not getting a fucking boost.
Yeah, Sonic 06 is now Sega's ugly little stepchild that they try to ignore.
It's funny because I say that it's not like they have like some company policy where they can never reference it or acknowledge it. Like Silver himself, every time you see him, he's basically an 06 reference, and obviously 06 was referenced in Generations and stuff. So it's not like, and occasionally I guess they might throw out some like 06 related merch, but it's very rare to see them. Like they're never gonna, in their list of games to remaster and re-release on like PC, they don't want to release 06 because it would just be like, I wouldn't say it'd just be bad press for them, but it would just be like an easy way for everyone to just dunk on them again and like, oh, can't wait for the Game Grumps playthrough of the new Sonic 06 remaster. Great. It just wouldn't be good for the series, I guess, except I wouldn't be opposed to them if they wanted to do it officially, other than like they waited too long and now it won't be as good as Project 06.
Well, maybe they'll just kind of pull a Sonic Mania and hire the Project 06 guys.
It would be interesting to like see that. Like the thing is, like once Project 06 is done, I think the guy, I think his name is Chaos X. I really should learn this and not have to constantly check it every time. But like I don't think he wants to just make a new Sonic game from the, maybe he does. I guess I shouldn't speak for him or whatever, but like it seems like his passion project was to remake Sonic 06, and once that's done, it's going to be done. And then once it's done, like it would be interesting if they're like reached out and were like, hey, now that you have this, instead of ceasing and desisting, maybe we could just like sell it. But like that would be awkward too, because it's already like free and online, like all these builds of it. So I don't know. It's just a weird situation.
You never know. Maybe Sega will do that. They'll just sell that as the official version.
It's like, it's funny to think like there's really, I'm just trying to think about how I would feel about that. Like, it's their game, they made the game. Like, they should, there's nothing wrong with them wanting to, like, sell it. And there's nothing wrong with them wanting to sell the best possible remaster, but that would just be a weird situation. I don't even know how to, I would need time to, like, think about, like, because that's kind of bad in a way, I guess, because, like, I guess not. I guess if it ended up in Chaos 06 getting, like, or Chaos X getting a bunch of, like, compensation for their work, I guess it would be a good thing.
Yeah, as long as they compensated him for his work, and I don't know, I guess it will be fine. I mean, it will be better than than sending him a cease and desist
Yeah, for
letter.
sure, 100% there. And it doesn't matter. I don't want to jinx quote unquote it, but like I just seriously doubt that would happen. I feel like they're just going to ignore the project, which is the best thing, honestly. I think
Yeah,
for
probably.
gamers at least. I don't know.
Even I'm not too sure how I feel about the idea of like trying to remake Sonic 06 to make it better,
Right.
because the idea of Sonic 06 being better in any way kind of bothers me at this point.
It is weird to think like it's an infamously bad game, and even if you're one of the kids grow up who like likes it and you want to defend it all the time, like good, straight up fine. Let's like do you, and if that's how you honestly feel, go ahead. But like you have to understand how seriously the game had an impact on the franchise. It was not well received. It has a lot of fucking problems and stuff. And of course, they're probably tired of hearing people talk shit about Sonic 06, but you can say that it's good and appreciate the good things about it without trying to be like a revisionist and be like, oh, it's actually all good. It was actually always, I don't know.
Yeah, Sonic had bad, like I mentioned, there were bad Sonic games before 06, but the franchise didn't really get known for having bad games until Sonic 6.
This game completely did a 180 to people's perception of Sonic. And like, people just were ready to go at it. Like Sonic Unleashed, I think, reviewed like worse than 06. I know that sounds like it might not be possible, but I think it's actually true. Like, people were like almost so surprised how bad 06 was, they weren't even capable of giving it the proper review score. Like, they gave it bad reviews, but like once it was like, okay, now we can just shit on Sonic as soon as there's any reason to, like the Werehog shit, which I agree. I could go on a whole thing about why the Werehog's not a good thing, but like, you know, they didn't want to give any credit to the good things that Sonic Unleashed did, you know, as the first game after 06. Think about how different 06 Unleashed is from 06 and how much they completely had to like start over from the ground up and like make this entirely new thing. A beautiful game too, which like now that it can finally run at 60 FPS, it finally getting a little more credit, you know, with how good some of those levels looked. Then again, I guess there's something to be said about like if you make a game that can't run properly at the maximum FPS, like that's kind of on you. Like if you're targeting, it's one thing to target future PC hardware, but when you're doing it on a PS3 at Xbox 360, the hardware is not getting better. It's always going to lag, you know, it's always going to run at sub 60 FPS. But
Yeah,
you know,
Sonic
unless this happens.
Unleashed is, at the time, it was like way better than Sonic 6. Even the Werehog levels, as much as I
Yeah.
hated them, were, you know, just the Werehog levels by themselves were better than anything in Sonic 06.
Yeah, they were like the worst thing you can say about the Werehog stages. They just went on for too long. They weren't that in-depth combat. They got a little boring, but they were perfectly competent character actiony type stages. You know what I mean? They were, yeah, and the game wasn't a complete glitchy nightmare. It was honestly a pretty impressive effort for being the project directly after 06. We didn't get like 06 2. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And the daytime stages in Sonic Unleashed are, I think, pretty good.
They're impressive. Boost isn't my favorite, so I'm not gonna like, you know, go too hard on like praising it. But like, just this brand new formula that they leaned on, that they were leaning on to this day theoretically, because we don't even know what the new Sonic game's like. I think it's gonna be not quite a full on Boost game, whatever. No, there's no point speculating right now. But the point is, the latest Sonic game Forces has been a Boost game. So like the formula they came up with in Unleashed, they're still leaning on it to this day. Again, this day. A little bit of a stretch since Forces came out in 2017, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I'm not that big of a fan of the Boost gameplay either, but I have to admit it's a lot better than Sonic 06 and
Right, after Sonic
Shadow
06,
the Hedgehog.
they're just like, we just gotta do something different. And you know what? For all my problems with the Boost gameplay, at least it's very fast, so it fulfills that one requirement that people go apeshit when Sonic games aren't going fast. And it's visually interesting. Like, I mean, it's not saying when you're going that fast, it's kind of hard to have that much like depth in the gameplay. Like, you know, there's the parts where he's boosting, and then there's like the robots behind you, and you have to like go in between 3 lanes, and it almost feels like you're playing a mobile game at times, like a runner. But like, the game looks cool, and the levels were really beautiful. So honestly, that alone is enough to make it pretty decent in my book.
Yeah, it's I prefer the old-fashioned like 2D Sonic gameplay, and also even Sonic Adventure 1, I kind of prefer the gameplay.
There's
in that
something
to Boost.
About the
But the Boost is
momentum-based
okay, you know.
gameplay that I always feel like, you know, every Boost game doesn't have this because it's not about momentum. It's not the fucking Boost. I guess the Boost is sort of a way of, it's a kind of momentum, but, you know, it's completely different than, you know, carrying and maintaining your speed the same way in Sonic, the classic Sonic games. You can just jump and boost as soon as you get hit or whatever, if assuming you have boost. But yeah, I'll always be drawn to that momentum-based gameplay in the classic games. And the adventure games aren't exactly momentum-based, but you can still do these like awesome shortcuts by like spin dash jumping off of stuff. Like the levels just felt more like real. They didn't feel like racetracks, if you know what I mean. Like really long, like straight. They felt like actual areas because you could like move in like when you're not boosting. This is the thing that immediately, and I never have been able to not have this bother me or whatever since the first moment I picked up a controller for like Unleashed. When you're not boosting, when you're just like walking around a hub area, I just hate the way Sonic feels in those boost games. Like, he doesn't feel at all like he does in the adventure games, where you can do these little tight turns. You feel like you have so much control over the character. Like, you might not feel that way the first time you pick up the controller, but once you get good, not that you don't have control over the boost Sonic, but like, just when he's going slow, you just feel the adventure games feel better. There's no
the boost gameplay. It feels like it's sometimes like on rails.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Even though it's not actually on rails.
Well, sometimes it's on rails. Sometimes you're grinding.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. But it's the boost gameplay is kind of like more flash than substance, I find.
Right.
It's a little bit shallow in the gameplay department.
There's something to be said about like, you know, and it's not even unlike the classic games. There's something to be said about replaying a boost stage until you can just play it perfectly and hit every boost and hit every jump. Like, you memorize a stage. You know, that's still kind of fun and satisfying to do within the boost engine, because that's why it feels more like a racing game to me. Whereas, you know what I mean? Whereas like when I was beating Sonic Adventure 1 stage, it felt like I was beating a 3D level fast. Like, you know, when you're speedrunning Mario 64, it doesn't feel like a racing game, except, you know, racing game is a nebulous term, but I think you sort of know what you mean, like a car racing game. You know what I mean? Like on a track.
Well, the boost gameplay, when I played Sonic Generations, for example, I much preferred the classic Sonic stages to the modern Sonic, because the modern Sonic is all about boost gameplay. But I can't be too hard on the boost gameplay, just considering, you know, how bad all the other Sonic, you know, the newer Sonic games have been.
Right. They found a method that like worked pretty well, and that's like, it's sort of sad that like, yeah, they tried to do something new, quotation marks new, in Lost World, but it just felt like a shitty sort of wannabe Galaxy type game. I don't really know how to explain it. It's like, it just wasn't quite how I wanted it, even though it has some interesting elements like the parkour thing. I just wasn't the biggest fan of Lost World. So then it was just sort of awkward how they sort of had to go backtrack and go back to boost in Forces, but then even in Forces, it was a bloated game where they had the boost, and they also had the classic stages, and they also had the Avatar stages, and they also had the Avatar/modern Sonic stages.
Sonic Forces is really an anomaly, because I think their thinking for that was Sonic Generations was pretty good. People liked it.
Yeah.
So let's just do Sonic Generations again.
The initial teaser trailer, before they even had the name Sonic Forces down, like the very first thing was like, from the team who brought you Sonic Colors and Sonic Generations, which again, somewhat nebulous to be like, this is the Sonic team, we're back, Sonic team. Like, but the actual people on the Sonic team have changed a lot over the years, so it's like kind of weird to even be like that, you know?
Well, I think they mentioned that because Sonic Colors and Generations were like
those were the only two games exactly that anyone liked at all. Exactly, that's where like, oh, look at us, we're doing it again. We're giving us, that was basically them telling you like, we're doing another boost game without saying it in that exact phrasing. You know what I mean? But
well, it was it's like half a boost game, and I guess half not, because you have the classic Sonic bits where you don't have to do the boosting thing.
Right. It's funny, like you said, when Generations came out, I really loved the classic Sonic stages, and I was like, wow, it's just like the Genesis. And, you know, I still think they're very cute. I think they're fun for what they are. But, like, now that I've had, like, Mania, like, now that, like, that perfect recreation of the Genesis, now going back, like, I don't hate the classic Sonic stages. In fact, again, I'm glad they're in Generations, because it makes perfect sense in Generations. But then it's like, the classic Sonic stages felt so shoehorned and unnecessary in Forces, and it was just like, I'm just playing not as good, you know, 2D Sonic. I would just rather be playing Mania right now than this shit. Like, I play a 3D Sonic game to play a 3D Sonic game. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you know, Sonic Mania kind of changed everything. It's like, that's what I've been wanting for like 15, 20 years, is another
it's crazy.
game like that.
That's so crazy. I still, like, to this day, sometimes I have to remind myself, like, oh yeah, Sonic Mania is a real thing that happened, because you just never get that. Like, yeah, I was like fantasizing about a real Sonic 4 since before the fake shitty Sonic 4 came out, you know what I mean? So I was just like, damn, we really got like an actual legitimate sequel.
I remember all the videos you made about how bad Sonic 4 is.
Right. I'm surprised those have become some of my most like infamous videos, and like people like associating with Sonic 4. Every time you mention Sonic 4, they're like, uh-oh, better not let Cybershell find out about this. Whereas like it's funny, it really comes down to one thing, which is the fucking title. And I say this in the videos, but if I haven't been more clear, like if the game was just not called Sonic 4, if it was just called Sonic the Portable, like it was supposed to be, like a mobile game, I would just be like, oh yeah, whatever, this game suck. But I wouldn't like care, you know what I mean? It's just they had the audacity to call it Sonic 4, and I went in expecting like a good follow-up to the classic Genesis titles. I didn't get it. I was mad. I was big mad. Well, I was like coping at first. I was like, oh, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad when I very first played it. Like, I knew it wasn't that good, but I was like, well, it wasn't that bad. It was only as I've gotten like older, I was like, damn, that game fucking sucked.
Yeah, Sonic Mania really should have been the one to be called Sonic 4 because
yeah, that's the thing. They can never use that title. You just literally can't just call it Sonic 4 and pretend the original one didn't exist. And not only is that kind of just silly, it's like, you know, internally, if you're a company, you need to keep track of all your shit. Like, there's already a Sonic 4. They already wasted the title. But you know, I'm kind of glad it wasn't called Sonic 4, because it wasn't Sonic 4. It was a collection by these fans, and it wasn't all new levels. It was like a retread of some of these old stages, which some people, they really don't. So I don't like Sonic Mania because it's just reusing old stages. But those people just don't fully understand or comprehend how much new level geometry, how much new level gimmicks, how many all the new art. They just don't appreciate it. That game, Sonic Mania, I will always say, it's one of those beautiful games. Such beautiful pixel art. It has incredible. People say, oh, it's just like 16-bit. No, it's better than 16-bit. It's basically like the 2D Sonic game we would have gotten on the Saturn if that was a thing. But obviously, they wouldn't have done a game like that. They just wouldn't. Nobody wanted. People were too crazy about 3D.
Yeah, Sonic Mania still, I suppose, doesn't count really as a Sonic 4, but it's at least a little bit more deserving of that title than Sonic 4 actually was.
I mean, I have a freaking video called Sonic Mania is the real Sonic 4, which I admit is a sort of inflammatory title, but, you know, it's more or less how I feel. But, like, yeah, like, the title isn't even the important part. It's the real spiritual successor to those games. I mean, everyone can tell.
You know, admittedly, in the dark age of Sonic, with games like Sonic 06, Sonic 4 didn't seem that bad at the time.
Exactly.
You know?
That's another thing, yeah, that people are like, we were only 4 years removed from Sonic 06. Just a Sonic game that wasn't getting, like, destroyed by reviews. Because that game got, like, middling reviews. It wasn't, like, didn't get great reviews, but they were all right. And I was just like, wow, look, remember, guys? Sonic used to not be a joke.
Yeah, it's basically like Sonic 1 if it was remade to be shorter and worse.
Right. That's the thing that bothered me a little bit in my videos, which is like, if you're going to make a Sonic 4 and actually call it Sonic 4, but then it's basically just a remix. Like, Mania knew it was mostly a remix, and that's, you know, that's not why it specifically wasn't called Sonic 4, but, like, you know, so that obviously didn't bother me that it was a remix. Whereas Sonic 4, Episode 1 specifically, is just straight up, like, reusing old stages, but giving them a new name. And for some reason, that rubbed me the wrong way. Like, just call them the old stages, or, like, actually make new stages. At least Episode 2 is not, like, a good game, really, but, like, just by virtue of being compared to Episode 1, it seems really good. Because the stages were actually, like, interesting. Like, not like they were the greatest stages of all time, but, like, there was, like, the wintry stage that was, like, in a theme park and had the roller coaster bit. Like, there were some interesting set pieces in Episode 2. It's way easier for me to find some nice things to say about Episode 2, you know?
Yeah, Episode 2 was definitely a lot better, but it's still not really great.
It's still not good. I don't want to overhype it here, people. It's not a great game.
Yeah, it was the thing that really upsetted me about Sonic 4, besides all the obvious things like the spin dash being completely useless and the bad physics. But what bothered me is that they called it Sonic 4, but it doesn't continue from all the new mechanics that were introduced in Sonic 3 and Knuckles. It kind of resets everything back to mechanics of Sonic 2, basically.
Yeah, it really was like, you know, Sonic Episode 1 was the Sonic 1 and the Sonic, like, remake, quotation marks, and then Sonic 2, Episode 2 reintroduced Tails, and then I assume Sonic 3, Episode 3 would have reintroduced Knuckles. Like, I don't have any proof of that, but, like, that has to be true, right? Like, just, obviously they were going to make an Episode 3, and I'm pretty sure we can introduce Knuckles, but then it was like, I don't want Sonic 4 to be, like, a weird remixed retelling of the first 3 games, you know what I mean? Like, that's, like, again, I feel like it's so easy to, like, take what I'm saying out of context and then be like, well, but would you love that in Sonic Mania? But, like, it's just different, you know what I mean?
Yeah, also for some reason they took like forever to release episode 2.
Right. That was when people were so. That was when episodic gaming was like, oh my god, this is the coolest new thing. Have you seen this freaking Walking Dead game with the episodic gaming? And there's a new episode every month. Episodic gaming only works if you can like. You're basically making the entire game at once, and then you're releasing them in like monthly segments. And it only really makes sense in like a story-based game like that. Like, I don't want to play 4 levels from a Sonic game, and then wait 10 months to play another 4 levels. You know what I mean? Like, that's stupid.
Yeah, so by the time they were going to do episode 3, they just gave up on it, I suppose, because it was just taking way too long and people didn't like it that much.
I think it was just like, yeah, like Sonic 4 Episode 1 sold well because, it got okay reviews and it was like, wow, like this new Sonic game. But then, it made an okay amount of money, but not that many people liked it. So when Sonic 2, they were like, well, we made enough money to make Episode 2, which we obviously wanted to do. And I think like nobody bought that. Like I don't actually have the sales figures. I don't want to make too many declarative statements about things I can't fully prove, but it would be insane if that episode 2 somehow sold more than episode 1, right? So I feel pretty confident saying it just didn't make the money. Nobody was interested in episode 1, and then yeah, you're right. Basically what you said, they just lost interest. They didn't have enough like funding. And honestly, it seems to sound insane from coming out of my mouth, but I wish they made an episode 3. I wish they just finished it, like so it could just be a finished thing, and then maybe I don't know. It's just sad how it just has to end at episode 2. It's just pathetic, It's like Half-Life 2 episode 2. Obviously, they were going to do an episode 3. They talked about it, then they never did it. So just to end with an episode 2. It's just sad.
We never got to play as Knuckles in Sonic 4. That's a
Makes me wonder.
shame.
Well, it's weird. You never even get to play as Tails unless you're playing like 2-player mode, because if you're playing 1-player, Tails is just like you press a button and you can do these special moves with him, which isn't, again, on paper, it's not even like the worst use for Tails, but like I didn't like the special moves. They were overpowered to make you want to use them. / you did have to literally use the flying one all the time. And it was really slow. Like every time you activated it, there's like a little 1-second cutscene where time stops and Tails has to fly down and grab you, which doesn't seem that bad, but when you're like constantly doing it like 20 times a level, it got annoying,
Yeah, I forgot about that, actually. That's another thing that sucks about it. Actually, when I first played Sonic 4 Episode 1, I don't know, I guess I was in denial because I thought it was...
Yeah.
I kind of told myself, this is pretty good. This is,
right.
Sega's going in the right direction.
Again, I know exactly what you mean, just because, again, play Sonic 06 and then 04, or Sonic 4. Sonic 4, again, just by sheer virtue of being way shorter, it doesn't feel like an assault on your senses as much.
Yeah, but in retrospect, I can see that Sonic 4 was pretty abysmal. It was, it's a lot worse than I thought at the time.
I said it already.
At the time,
I
I
agree
just
with you.
thought it was, at the time, I just thought, it's kind of mediocre, but, it's better than
Exactly.
Sonic 06. But...
I didn't really get mad about it. In fact, I never really was like seething mad about it, despite how I was played up my videos for comedy. But I was just surprised because it was just one of my videos. I just casually was like, oh yeah, Sonic 4 sucks. And then like I had a shitload of comments being like, how dare you make fun of Sonic 4? And that would just blew my mind. I was like, holy shit. I never thought about it, but I guess theoretically, of course, like almost every game, this game has dedicated fans, a big fan base. And I was just like, damn. The Sonic 4 fandom. What the fuck? It's such a weird thing to think about.
Yeah, I saw that a lot of people got upset when you started bashing Sonic 4.
Right.
Again, all the Sonic 4 defenders came out.
Is it even worth getting mad at these people? Because you just know they were just little fucking kids who played it. It was probably one of their first games, and like I say this as much in the video. It's like they're just a little babby boy. That's the reason they like the game, and it's like is it worth like trying to explain to these people that their beloved childhood memories are wrong? You know what I mean? It's like just let them enjoy it, I guess.
Well, I suppose if this was like the first Sonic game you ever played, maybe it's not so bad.
Right.
Because you don't have the context of the original Sonic games that this game basically steals from.
Yeah. Again, I feel like I have to keep saying this because I know Mania also remixes levels, but like it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way that it was like, we're going to call it Sonic 4, but it's literally just going to, well, the thing is, I don't even want to, I'm curious, I've thought about this recently, like, I don't know, should I like try and figure out, like, read the credits, find the LinkedIn's, and, like, reach out to some of the people who worked on Sonic 4 and figure out, like, who decided that this should be Sonic 4, because I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't anyone who, like, worked on the game, it was just some decision from, like, Sega, who's just like, we'll make more money, so we're calling this Sonic 4, you know what I mean? And that's really
that's possible. They even, you see, Sonic Mania at least had new bosses, but Sonic 4 mostly just copy and pasted the bosses.
Sonic 4 is just a shameless, like, oh, you're back in Green Hill Zone, but we're not calling it Green Hill Zone. Whereas at least in Sonic Mania, they call it Green Hill Zone. Even though, not saying Sonic Mania has the greatest story, it's mostly a functional story to get you from point A to point B, but it is an actual in-universe explanation. Why are you here? Because the Phantom Ruby is teleporting you through time and space and shit. Like, and there's new bosses. Like there's like the final boss from Sonic 2 being the boss of Green Hill Zone. Like there's just cute things like that keep it from being just feels like a soulless rehash of Green Hill Zone. You know what I mean? There's so many little details as a Sonic fan to really appreciate there. I don't have time to get into
also,
all.
the physics in Sonic 4 are bad, and physics in Sonic Mania are perfect.
It's just like the homing attack was added into the 3D games as a necessity because how else is it going to be possible for Sonic running fast to hit these guys? You know what I mean? So I just have never felt like the homing attack belongs in the 2D games. Really, the homing and attacking enemies in 2D is not a particularly fun challenge. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and Sonic, but also like Sonic 4 had. The level design wasn't really that good. Like I remember there was one part in the Wii version where you're in a minecart.
I was just about to say it relies on these gimmicks and shit. A lot of stupid gimmicks. Like there's like ball balancing puzzle in that stage in the minecart section. There's a part where you have to carry like a torch around. Like I don't know. It's not like only Donkey Kong Country is ever allowed to have minecart sections, but it just felt like. I remember in the minecart, I was like, am I really playing a Sonic game right now? This doesn't feel right. Something's off about the vibes here.
It wasn't, I'll give it this. It wasn't the worst level design I've seen, but it was not as good as the Genesis games by a long shot.
Right. Sonic 4's main crime is just being thoroughly mediocre, not being like offensively horrible, but and then the offensively mediocre combined with the sin of being daring to call themselves Sonic 4, which again, as I just explained, might not have even been the people who made its decision, but
Yeah, well, I guess that's one good thing about Sonic 06 versus Sonic 4 is that at least Sonic 06 is fun to make fun of.
It's way more fun to make fun of. That's one thing I can't remember where I talked about this, but like think about like how many hours of genuine joy and laughter and happiness Sonic 06 has brought into the world from people watching videos making fun of it. Like there's got to be like thousands and thousands and thousands more hours of people watching Sonic 06 get made fun of than from human eyeballs playing Sonic 06 with like their own hands. You know what I mean? Like it exists mostly in the public consciousness as a thing that has been made fun of, not as its own unique video game that people have played. You know what I mean? I don't know if I'm properly explaining this, but like in a weird way, I'm not saying Sonic 06 is good, like in so many words, but like it has brought in a lot of happiness into this world despite being a very, very bad video game.
Yeah, with Sonic 06, you can kind of like throw it into the system and play it with a group of friends and just have fun at laughing at how bad it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, whether you want to make fun of the story or just the glitches or just the incompetency of how it was programmed with the ridiculous loading screens, it's not hard to make. In fact, that's the reason I haven't made like a big Sonic 06 video. It's just because like, what am I supposed to say? Everything you can say about Sonic 06 has been said. It would just be like, I don't know. I've had my one idea, which I made a joke tweet about, which is like, I jokingly made this tweet. I was like, maybe I'll actually just do that idea, which is that I'll do a Sonic 06 review, or I just review every Sonic 06 review and just, compare and contrast, see what they have in common, see what like the best, quote unquote, best ones are. You know what I mean? Like, and I just thought it'd be a funny gimmick, but like I would have to actually watch a lot of reviews. There's so many Sonic 06 videos out there. That's why it's a funny idea, but is it actually going to be fun to make / funny to watch? I don't know. That's why I haven't done it yet.
I don't know, but it does sound like a pretty interesting idea.
It would be interesting. Like there are plenty of just already regular Sonic 06 videos that do this, but it would just be interesting to just look at Sonic 06, just how it's affected the fandom, the perception of the series. The Geek Critique has a great Sonic 06 video. His take on it is pretty like, because he was like a Sonic fan who's there when it was happening. You know what I mean? He experienced the hype. It's interesting. I know, and I'm honestly interested, and I do. In a way, I respect the Zoomer takes of like, why they defend the game and why they still like it. I can respect that too, but it just, if you were there, if you experienced Sonic 06 as it happened, like, it was just this catastrophe of a game.
Yeah, I was there, so.
Right.
I know all about that. It's like, there's just so many things wrong with it, which you covered in the beginning. But
it's
also
too many to list almost.
Yeah. And also, like, the story, for the most part, feels like a bad fan fiction.
It does, dude. It has a reek of, like, fan fiction. It's like, It's actually surprising how much that's an apt description, because like Princess Elise, like Sonic uncharacteristically being interested in romance, like the whole series, he's like, Amy's chasing him, he's like, I don't care, get away. But all of a sudden he's like, oh, honestly, Sonic isn't even that into Elise, she's more into him, and then she kisses him after he's already dead, to be fair. But like their whole relationship is honestly pretty boring / cringe, and it's just, there's a lot of time travel bullshit, which is just like, it's hard to make a good time travel story, to be honest. Like, it's really hard. Like, if you don't have a good reason, like, if your story needs to be time travel, like, there's no possible way you could ever tell that story without time travel, you could just reshuffle some of the events around. I guess you could still have the time travel of, like, Silver coming into the past without all the convoluted Sonic goes to the future, and then Shadow's also sent to the future, and then Shadow's also sent 10 years in the past with Silver. It's like, there's way too much bullshit. And then, like, Sonic goes back in the past again, but only 1 hour to save Elise. Like, I don't know. And then the whole thing gets retconned with time travel. Like, you know, you have to tread lightly with that shit.
Yeah, time travel is usually a really bad amateur idea to do in a story.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the only games that did time travel justice is Chrono Trigger.
Yes, that's a great example, because you have to set up the mechanics good. Because like in Sonic 06, it was just any two hedgehogs with 2 chaos emeralds. You can go to like any point in history, and also the villain can do it. It's just, if you don't do it right, how is it possible to have stakes in a story? Like, what if Sonic failed to rescue Elise again? Well, he could just go back in time again, and try again. It doesn't matter,
Yeah. Well, in Chrono Trigger, it was mostly like an amusement park kind of thing, where you go to every time period, and every time period has its own. Like the prehistoric era has the dinosaurs and...
Right. Well, Chrono Trigger is about time travel. It's in the name, right there, Chrono Trigger. Whereas Sonic 06 is supposed to be this big, sprawling, like 3 unique stories where they're not about time travel. They just have time travel as a plot device, as a very convenient thing.
I think that's exactly why Sonic 06 does it poorly, because the time travel in that game is about weird plot details.
Yeah, it feels like it's like plot
it.
spackle, and just like, well, it was necessary for some of the bullshit, but like it's just very like, and then it's just something, there's something genuinely hilarious and like poetic about the way at the end with them retconning the whole story out of existence. Like, it's almost like the game, how many people have made this observation? I don't know. But it's almost like the game is aware that it's like bad, and it's trying to erase its own self out of the timeline. You know what I mean? It gives that vibe where it's like, it's not that you can't have a story that does this. In fact, it's like not even that uncommon of a trope, but like, it doesn't feel that great to have like huge adventure and then it just ends with all the events getting erased from the timeline.
Well, I doubt that they intended that to kind of...
They didn't think they were making a bad game, or even if they knew, it's like when they wrote it, they thought it was a good story. Right.
I think they just did that because that's a common thing some stories do when they make too many massive changes to the universe.
Exactly. Because
they can't. They're just they just don't want to carry.
It fixes the problems, like, because after that, it would make sense that Sonic and Shadow don't like, or Silver and Shadow, people don't time travel all the time because they don't have this whole experience of going on this crazy time travel journey, So
yeah, that's why Chrono Trigger did the time travel thing better, because in Chrono Trigger it was mostly about showing you the different set pieces, the different time periods.
Right.
But in Sonic 06, it's about weird, complicated, nonsensical, honestly, plot, stupidity.
Yeah, for sure. If you're going to have that kind of time travel, at
writing.
Least use it in an interesting gameplay way, you know what I mean? Like, there's, like, I don't know, there's like that one...
Yeah, that's the thing, it's purely just a plot device.
Exactly, it literally is just plot oriented to get you to these cool future ruined city shit. But like, there was that one, it was like a Ratchet and Clank, like, one of their games was like something in time or whatever, and there's like a level where you like go back to the past and like plant a tree, and then like you go back to the future, and then there's like a plant there, like an Ocarina of Time. Like, again, that's Ocarina of Time. Honestly, it's not even like the biggest aspect of that game, even though it kind of is. Like, it's the hero of time, it's this of time, that of time, it's everything of time. But like, you plant a thing as a kid, as young Link, and then in the future you can ride the plant as adult Link. Like, that's how you incorporate that kind of interestingly into gameplay. You don't just have it be so you can write shitty fan fiction. I don't know.
Even Sonic CD did the time travel.
Yeah, that's another craziest part. Like, that's another one where it's like, it's really barely, like, you can even technically, if you want, like, I would say you go the whole game without going time travel. You are in the bad future for the boss fight acts, but like, yeah, you can. That's time travel via gameplay. in a very interesting way. Like you can have, I mean, I could go on a whole thing like, oh, does it really complement the gameplay well? Like you have to be in an exploring the stage kind of mood to get the most out of Sonic CD anyway. So like as long as you're in the right mood for it, then yeah, it's a really cool, interesting, well done mechanic. As a kid, I just loved being able to be like, wow, I can see a past version of the stage, I can see a bad future version, and I can see a good future version of every stage. There's 4 versions of every stage, 4 different music tracks for each. It's like, it was so cool. That was a cool way to use it.
You actually played Sonic CD as a kid? That's pretty rare.
Yeah, I did. I actually didn't have a Sega CD. I played the PC version, so I didn't play it when it was like new, or it was a little bit after the fact. But yeah, it was weird. I kind of wish I had a Sega CD. There's a lot of cool, interesting stuff on that peripheral.
I also had a Sonic CD for the PC back then, but my computer, I guess, wasn't very good, so it kept crashing.
It's funny to think that like a Sonic game could be so demanding on a computer.
Yeah, my PC kept crashing before I beat. I think the furthest I got was Tidal Tempest Zone.
I see.
And it kept crashing there, and for some reason it didn't save my progress. So every time it crashed, I had to start back on the first level. But
Right.
thankfully, so I wasn't able to beat it on the PC. But thankfully, I did get a Sega CD back in the late '90s, and I got a copy of Sonic CD, and then I actually beat it on the original hardware.
Hell yeah. It's honestly not my like favorite Genesis game, but I really like it for what it is. I appreciate it for what it is. It has a great aesthetic. I just love the game. It's just not my favorite in terms of pure gameplay. You know what I mean? Because you have to be in that mood. Like I just said, you have to be in the mood to explore and find the robot generator and do all this shit. And, you know, or you can do the special stage, which actually has great special stages. Some of my favorite special stages in a Sonic game, honestly. And, but if you're just trying to play it fast, if you're just trying to go through the stages as fast as possible, which is usually what I want to do when I'm in the mood to play a Sonic game, then it's not bad or anything, but it's just not, you know, you're missing out on like the main fun of the game if you do it that way.
Yeah, I definitely prefer the other Genesis Sonic games, but I think Sonic CD has its own interesting appeal. It's it's a very interesting game.
It's actually insanely cool and interesting to think about like the development history, because it was like after Sonic 1, like the team broke up into like 2 separate teams, and you know Yuji Naka went to America and worked on Sonic 2 with STI, and Naoto Oshima and just some other members of the Sonic 1 team, they like stayed in Japan. They made Sonic CD, and you know for a while it wasn't even clear which one was going to be Sonic 2, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I read that the development for Sonic CD started before Sonic 2, but Sonic 2 came out first.
Right.
And then Sonic CD came out later. And I think you can kind of see evidence of that by how Sonic CD reuses a sprite from Sonic 1.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't feel like a sequel to Sonic 2, and obviously it's not, of course, but like
and the spin dash also doesn't work very well on Sonic
it's
CD
really
compared to
it's
Sonic
like
2.
an alternate universe sequel. Like we got to peer into an alternate universe, and like this could have been what Sonic 2 was like, you know what I mean? Like it's like an alternate branch of the series.
Yeah, but I'm ultimately I'm glad that we got the actual Sonic 2 that we got, because I think it's way better than Sonic CD.
I agree. I absolutely agree. Sonic 2 is like Sonic 3 Knuckles is my favorite. It has the big cool storyline and stuff, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
Sonic 2 is such a perfect little arcadey experience. You can just beat the whole thing in an hour. The stages are way more like speed oriented. There's way less of a focus on exploration. Not that there's like some huge exploration focus in 3 Knuckles like there is in CD, but like there's a giant rings to find and stuff. So 2 is just a lot more linear, streamlined, fast. It's just, it irons out so many of the problems with Sonic 1. Sonic 1, I actually have come around a lot. I used to be like, I used to be a lot more dismissive of it. There's a lot of great things in Sonic 1. People, whatever. Point is, it has some slow stages. It has fucking Marble Zone and Labyrinth Zone and stuff, whereas, you know, in Sonic 2, it has Aquatic Ruin. Surprisingly little amount of water in that game, because you can skip the water in Chemical Plant, and you can skip the water in Aquatic Ruin if you're good enough.
Well, I think the real question is Sonic 06 better or worse than Sonic Labyrinth?
Honestly, like, you could make the argument either way. Like, Labyrinth is a not fun game. I mean, this just I don't know how to cut it more simply than that. But, like, it's just, it is what it's trying to be, I guess. Whereas Sonic 06 is more of an ambitious failure. Whereas, I don't know. I guess it did. You can also impact, like, Sonic 06 had a negative impact overall on the series, its perception, its sale. I don't know, like a million. Sonic 06 is just way more impactful, so you could argue it from that perspective too. You know what I mean?
Well, I think Sonic 06 is probably more fun to play, but it's possible it's a worse game because it's like less optimized or more poorly optimized than Sonic Labyrinth.
Right. Sorry, there's fucking leaf blowers outside my window right now. It's just such a useless invention. It's just to move leaves around from one place to another. It's not even like they're doing anything with them. They're still leaves. They still have to decompose. You know what I mean, guys? It's like, come on.
Yeah, that would be a good thing to make another episode on. Leaf blowers.
You know what's bullshit? I'm going to take over that series because James Rolfe he abandoned it because you stopped being able to say bullshit in video titles. You know what I mean? Because that will instantly get you demonetized now. So it's like, what's BS? And then they won't even say bullshit in the video because it's just too short. Because you're not allowed to swear in like the first 30 seconds of a video now or whatever. You're allowed to do it, but you might get you demonetized. Whatever. I don't know why it's a side tangent, but yeah, that's what I immediately thought of when you said that.
Well, I do have a BS and BS, so I should be perfect for that.
That's a classic Gamers Tavern moment right there.
Yeah, that's well, you can't go one of these episodes without one of those, at least.
For sure. It is funny. I mostly know you as Gamers Tavern, as like the branding of Gamers Tavern, the website. But I guess, you're Chrono, but not from the trigger.
Well, yeah, Chrono is an old username I came up with back in like 2001 or whatever. So.
Hell yeah, dude! Cybershell is from 2001.
Oh,
Cybershell
really?
13, yeah.
Well, I know it's an old username, but I didn't know it was specifically from 2001. So I guess that's a year a lot of usernames were born.
Yeah, well, the only reason I specifically remember the year is because that was the year I signed up for GameFAQs.com, and that was just, I could just see my reg date on my account. So I was like, yep, there it is.
I think I signed up to GameFAQs either 2001 or 2002, and I did use a variation of the Chrono username on there.
Right.
But I think the first time I used it was when I played... actually, maybe it was 2000, because I think I used it on Diablo 2.
Oh, yeah?
And, didn't Diablo 2 come out in 2000?
I can't remember the exact year on that one.
Yeah, I think it did. So if that's when it came out, then that's when I came up with this username.
Nice. Yeah, these are old usernames, man. It's great. I was just, flexing on someone with my Newgrounds account that I registered in 2004 the other day, because now that site's, like, cool again. But I never really used that account, unfortunately. I was just never a creator on Newgrounds, so I was like, I don't whatever. I don't need to reuse my freaking account. Like, I browsed the site plenty, but I never, it was the worst kind of leech, which I was like, I'm not even going to bother rating videos. It's too much work. Just let them get blammed on their own time.
Yeah, that's we're a couple of two old internet guys, I guess.
Yeah, that's the best possible podcast demo, right? Is to aim at a bunch of old internet guys.
Yeah, that's sure to get you a lot of views.
People, I mean, you joke around, but people are honestly kind of interested in like internet lore history. It's a surprisingly in-demand topic, but It does depend on the exact thing you're talking about, for sure. But like, it's just, I'm always interested. People I know Justin Wang makes some good internet history videos. There's a good amount of people who are about documenting internet history, and it makes me glad to see. I'm really grateful for sites like archive.org. You know what I mean? Because so much of that shit would have been lost, like sands, in the sands of time, like tears and rain, just gone forever. So much old internet shit I remember from like 2001 era is gone forever.
Yeah, and don't forget about Kiwi Farms. That's another archive of the internet.
Yeah, well, you gotta archive something somewhere. I mean, I gotta say, like, just having something like the Wayback Machine has made my life profoundly better. And like, because for me personally, doing like research and a lot of videos and stuff, like, it just would not have been possible without the Wayback Machine.
Yeah, you can use the Wayback Machine to go back to when everybody was really hyped and excited for Sonic 06.
God. Yeah, I mean, think about how many Sonic fan sites would have been lost to, forever if without, that site. There's so many Sonic fan sites I've seen over the years, like Shadow of a Hedgehog City and Sonic Cult. There's just been so many. And Fireball 20XL, that's going to bring back some traumatic flashbacks to someone listening to this.
Yeah, that reminds me of when Sonic 06, Shadow of the Hedgehog was first announced, and I think a trailer was shown off. I honestly thought it was a joke.
I think a lot of people did, dude, with like the guns and stuff. It kind of had like a off-season April Fool's joke vibe going on, which is funny because like in game, Shadow with the guns doesn't even look that ridiculous, especially because most of the guns you get in that game are like weird alien technology, but like it looks so edgy when he like holds up like it's like some MP5 looking submachine gun and then he like cocks it like it's a fucking shotgun. It looks it's so goofy. It's such a goofy cinematic. I love it though. I love the whatever you want to, I don't want to know the proper terminology, but like I'm not trying to insult it here, but like that sort of cringe edgelord aesthetic. Honestly, I love it. It's great. It's very nostalgic too. It's like wow. That sort of Hot Topic mid-2000s vibe.
Well, it was basically Sonic 06 before Sonic 06.
Yeah, but it was way, way easier for me and every other journalist / publication to be like, well, it's not a Sonic game. It's a Shadow game. It's a side series game. It's a spin-off. It's not the main series. Whereas you couldn't deny that Sonic 06 was part of the main series. They had the audacity to call the game Sonic the Hedgehog. No subtitle.
Well, at least they didn't call it Sonic 4.
Yeah, that would have been ridiculous. I honestly just wonder what it would be like if they just called it Sonic Adventure 3. I mean, it was Sonic Adventure 3, like you said. There's really no beating around the bush there. It has everything basically that makes a Sonic Adventure game a Sonic Adventure game. But people will cling to like random things, like it doesn't have a Chow Garden. It doesn't have a Chow Garden. Yeah, it's like whatever. I mean, I'm not saying what. Trust me, I know about the fucking Chow Garden, guys. Like I appreciate all the things it can do and add to a game, but I don't think like it's mandatory to have a Chow Garden for it to be a Sonic Adventure game. I think there's way more important things like the multiple character storylines and all that shit. You know.
There were a lot of terrible things about Sonic 06 that I forgot until I watched Let's Play of it, like or streams of it. Like
right.
The part with the balls. Remember? Did you do that part yet?
What do you mean, like Silver putting the billiard ball section? Like I haven't done that on stream yet, but that particular puzzle is like legendarily bad. It's more than notorious. It's legendarily bad. It is a bad puzzle. Physics based. I've seen multiple people struggle their way through that. Yeah, streamers. It's pretty much like one of the highlights of a Sonic 06 stream is watching the streamer fail for like half an hour on that ball puzzle. Because like sometimes you hit the ball and it wouldn't move an inch, but the number would still go down. It's so frustrating.
Yeah, I don't know why, I completely forgot about that puzzle until I saw someone stream it. Because I must have done it since I beat Sonic 06 back when it came out. But
yeah, dude.
I totally forgot.
Same thing happened.
Like I blocked it from my memory because it's so awful.
Exact same thing happened when I was just going through the Shadow story. There were so many little moments. Like I remember all the main things. Okay, I remember all the main things from Sonic 06. But like there were so many little weird bad moments and just random things that I just don't remember. But I must have experienced or seen at some point. Like I don't know. I was just like I completely forgot about this. This was in my brain somewhere, but I completely forgot about it.
Yeah, I think I remembered it because I saw Slow Beef streaming Sonic 06.
Oh, right.
I think he streamed it like a few years ago or something.
That makes sense. I'm not surprised at all. I'm sure that was a good stream for sure. A lot of us old essay guys have gone through that game now. It's a fun one. It's a fun one to stream just because like you can die and have a bad time or like do bad in the game or have the game glitch out. But if you're just playing alone and you're having a bad time and the game's glitching out, like that's kind of annoying, right? But if you're doing it to an audience of people who's laughing and having a good time, then all of a sudden, it's sort of what I was getting at earlier when I was talking about like how much joy Sonic 06 has brought into the world via making fun of it. You know what I mean? Like I'm not even sure what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say Sonic 06 being bad is a net good to the universe because there certainly wasn't a net good to the franchise. So I was hesitant to say something like that.
Yeah, well, at least it's doing some good somewhere. You know, that's better than nothing.
Right,
But,
right. At least someone.
I think, did you beat Sonic 06 before, or is this going to be your first time?
This is my first time actually beating the game myself, so I'm aware that last chapter is gotta be. It's like a bunch of back-to-back stupid challenges in a row. So I'm excited for it. I'm excited. I'm like I said. The game is bad or whatever, you know. I mean, I don't need to explain all the reasons Sonic 06 is bad, but you can have fun with it in the right environment. It's possible to have fun playing a bad game. I know that's like insane for some people to hear, but it is possible.
Yeah, I remember seeing also that clip, which I saw live on stream, of you playing a Shadow and you drove the hovercraft right into the water and just exploded.
See, that was funny. That was like, you just can't get that kind of shit anywhere else. I mean, not that I'm saying it was good that happened. It really wasn't, but like, I mean, because I didn't game over or anything. I was able to just laugh it off, and I was surprisingly, because I was funny. It was just funny because I was as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh god, this hovercraft section is gonna be a pain in the ass, and then like just instantly I died, and it looked so silly. But after that, it wasn't. I'm not saying that it's a good design section or whatever. I'm just saying I was able to get through it without many problems.
That was funny, and it's even funnier because I remember that's exactly what happened to me one time on Hovercraft.
I knew as soon as that happened, I was like, this, like, I mean, of course that must have happened to tons of other people, but it's just so fucking funny to see, like, the timing of him just getting in and flying. It's just like, it immediately exploded upon, like, touching the water, too. It's just so goofy, like, everything about it, and the way Shadow was just like, no! Everything about it. It's like everything has to come together to make it this really funny moment.
It doesn't even make any sense. I don't know why that happens sometimes.
Yeah, why? I didn't. And then, I mean, I literally did the exact same thing. Next time I hopped in, I held the go forward button, and then I just didn't explode as soon as I landed on the water the second time. It's one of those things that happens in a Sonic game. Sometimes you'll die, and it won't be your fault. And it's
yeah, I don't know.
Very upsetting.
If there's like a very slight angle variance that determines whether
I was watching the video back, and it was like I might have been like tilted forward too far, like I might have hit the water with the side. But even then, it shouldn't make you instantly explode. But yeah, it was like
even then that's on the developers. It's like a coding stupidity issue. It's not your fault.
It's definitely not my fault, although it is like one of those things where it's like if you're a professional, like I don't know, professional Sonic 06 speedrunner. I don't know if anyone's doing that, like as their job per se, but like if you are a Sonic 06 speedrunner, you probably understand the game's jank well enough to make that not happen. But like the mere fact that it could just happen to a casual player is the real issue.
Well, it certainly looks really funny whenever it happens.
Right. There's so many funny moments.
I just hope it doesn't happen to anyone that is on their last life.
Right. See, that's exactly what I was trying to say. Like some of these funny moments would be a lot less funny if I was getting on my last life 14 fucking minutes into a stage. Some of those stages go pretty long, and it's just like, okay, now I just die and I have to do all of that over again. It is very just like the humor of the situation very quickly evaporates once you're like redoing content over and over again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's another issue with Sonic 06, which affects a lot of modern Sonic games for some reason. The really long zones or stages.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I forgot. I mean, this was just a little thing, but like I kind of forgot how long some of those stages were. And it is funny to compare it specifically to Forces, because Forces is notorious for having criminally short stages, like 90-second long stages are like the average. Like there were like a couple of stages in Forces where I was like almost starting to have fun, and then the stage just ended, and I was like, oh, okay.
Well, honestly, I think I kind of preferred shorter stages to longer ones, especially
I agree.
We're talking to Sonic 06.
If we're like talking in that kind of situation where you might, you're at the mercy of the game's whims, whether you're going to die or not, and they're going to have to do the whole thing over again. And, maybe it depends on the kind of person, the kind of speedrunner. But for me, I'm not a speedrunner, but like, I don't mind like doing like a 2-minute stage over and over and over again, trying to get like a perfect run. Whereas like trying to do like a 15-minute stage, or like, I mean, there are people who do whole run games, that's the whole point of a speed run. Like you have to do the whole game without hitting any fucking weird glitches or whatever. I can understand that being an issue.
Yeah, and this issue of super long zones, it kind of carried over into, I think, Sonic Unleashed.
Yeah, that one's fucking brutal, but just mainly because the Werehog stages are just they're overly long. They're too fucking long. The Werehog isn't even like that bad. It's just the balance. The balance of Werehog to daytime stages is so skewed. It's like you will spend the vast majority of your time in Unleashed doing those Werehog stages.
Yeah, I think there's an equal amount of stages, but because the Werehog stages are so much longer, you're basically just mostly playing as the Werehog.
Which is a bummer because, like I said, the daytime stages are pretty good. Like, I have my reservations and issues with the boost formula, but within that game, it was the first game, so I'm inclined to cut them a lot of slack, and they had a very ambitious like environmental designs, and they did a good job in Unleashed actually making you like feel like in Japan it's called Sonic World Adventure, and it feels like a world adventure because you're traveling all these different locations and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, that's
they
a good
did a lot
point,
right.
Actually, Sonic Unleashed had hub worlds.
Right.
And it
had
did
world
it way
adventure
better
in the title.
It did it way better than Sonic 06.
Yeah, the hub worlds were very reasonably sized. They were pretty small, honestly, which is fine because it was just they were packed with like people and things to talk to. The other thing besides the balance between Werehog and daytime stages is there was some medal hunting bullshit. Like, if you weren't really on top of collecting the daytime and nighttime medals, you have to like backtrack and go through the stages slowly looking for them. That was just unnecessary padding, honestly. They really like didn't need those medals, or they should have just not been level gating.
I kind of forgot about that, but I just remembered it now that you brought it up.
Right.
I remember also there was big differences between the Wii and PS2 version.
Oh,
and
yeah.
the 360 and
They're like
PS3
a completely
version.
well, I don't say they're completely different games, but I mean they're legitimately different games. Like, there's a lot of little differences. Like, they don't even have hub worlds. They just have menus where you talk to people, and the stages are I haven't actually played that version, so I don't want to like give a whole review about it. Well, there are some good YouTube videos out there comparing them, because they are noticeably different versions. And like that version, the Wii S2 version, doesn't have medal hunting of all things. So some people are like, I prefer that version because there's no medal hunting, you know. And the Werehog stages are actually like cut up into like shorter. Like, there's still a lot of Werehog like percentage of the time you spend as Werehog, but like the stages aren't as overly long in that version, to my knowledge.
Well, at the time that I played, because I beat both of these versions back then.
Oh yeah.
And back then, I preferred the Wii and PS2 version over the other one.
I think it had less bullshit in it. I think it doesn't quite hit like the high highs. Like, the daytime stages aren't quite as good, but like it has less bullshit is my recollection of that version.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I don't remember the differences that much now, so I can't say if I still feel the same way, if I still prefer that version.
I'm interested in checking that version out sometime, just to, you know, maybe I'll play the new and improved 60 FPS version of Unleashed, and then I'll go back and try the PS2 version, something like just to see the difference. It's actually crazy that game released on PS2. I always forget that, because it's like, in my mind, it's a PS3 game. You know, it's a PS3 game, it's a PS3 360 game, and then like, oh yeah, I forgot that was the thing that developers did back then, which is that when you made a game for Wii, sometimes you could target the PS2, because there's a huge install base, huge amount of people who had PS2 still. So why not make some money selling to them?
Well, it's kind of like how Sonic Colors and Sonic Generations also had DS versions for some reason.
Right. Yeah, I need to do another. I think I've said this in a video before, but I need to do like a real handheld Sonic expedition, because like in my mind, like the handheld games, like the advanced games, I mean, I've just never been the biggest like handheld guy in general. So like, but I always appreciated like the advanced games. Like, that's like a separate sub series. But I always sort of ignored the like, you know, handheld version of a mainline game, because I'm like, oh, it's just a less good version. But it's not really just a less good version. It's really a completely different version. It's like a different game. Like, Sonic Colors on the DS is widely thought of to basically be the third game in the Rush trilogy, as people call it, because, you know, there's Rush Adventure, and then there's Colors, which all have pretty similar gameplay.
Yeah, I think I played Sonic Generations for the DS, but I didn't play Sonic Colors for the DS. So
Generations for the DS always interested in me, or 3DS I think it was, or whatever it was, but like it always interested me because like it had some unique stages. Like, it had Mushroom Hill, it had the big arm boss from Sonic 3, so I was like, oh yeah, it's kind of cool actually.
yeah, I don't know if I can't remember if it was actually good, because it's been a while since I played it, but it did have different stages.
Right,
that was
exactly.
pretty interesting.
I think I'm mostly right. Not that, I mean, you know, if you like the handheld versions, I'm not saying you're wrong, but like I think if I'm mostly right in that, like, they're just sort of, you know, kind of an afterthought compared to the real version. So I don't feel like I missed out too much by missing that. But I feel like that is interesting. Like, Sonic is just such a big fucking franchise, dude. There's so many games. There's so many like sub little games nobody knows about. And there's all the comics, and then there's movies now, and then there's fucking multiple TV shows. There's so much shit. There's a new TV show coming out next year. I said this on stream, but next year's gonna be a big year for Sonic. There's a new game, I think. I mean, they haven't actually announced the release date, but they are working on a new Sonic game. If it's not out next year, we're gonna get a lot of details about it next year. And next year, the new Netflix show comes out, the new movie comes out, more comic issues come out, and hopefully other Sonic-related interesting things happen.
Maybe we can expect a Sonic 06 too.
Yeah. Honestly, like, we're never gonna get a Sonic 06 2, but you know, someday we're going to get a game that's an honest-to-God sort of spiritual successor. I think some people honestly thought Forces was going to be like, Forces, oh, it's going to have a dark story based on that first trailer. Oh, it's going to be way more serious. It really wasn't. Like, they basically sold it like, oh, it is a way more serious story. But then you actually play the game, it feels identical to, like, the tone of, like, Colors, which is very upbeat. Well, okay, it doesn't feel identical to the tone of Colors, but, like, everyone's still quipping and talking like a Saturday morning cartoon. Like, it doesn't feel like the adventure games. Not that I want it to, like, revert back to 06 levels of self-seriousness necessarily, but it just didn't deliver what I thought it was going to, and a lot of people thought it was going to do.
Well, I hope we never go back to Sonic 06 levels of fanfic storytelling. That's
Right.
it's better. It's best to leave that in the past.
It just gets me because it's possible to tell a good Sonic story, so I just want to see that. Like, there's good, like, read the dang comics. There's some good stuff in there. I'm not saying every comic or whatever has a good Sonic comic has a good story, but like, it's possible to tell some good, interesting stories with these characters. And I just get a little sad seeing the games do like the bare minimum a lot of the time.
Yeah, I remember actually reading some of those comics back in the '90s, and I was pretty surprised at how good the stories were in those comics.
It's funny how different, like, the universe of the comics, well, because they didn't have much to go on back in the Genesis days, like, the Genesis games, believe it or not, weren't that heavy on stories, so they really had to make up tons and tons of shit with, like, the Freedom Fighters, and then, like, Knothole, and they had all of this lore and all these events that happened over the years and years, and they had so much compounding stuff, and I really do like the new IDW series a lot. Like, it's actually really good, and there's a lot of unique, like, lore and interesting characters that are only exclusive to that comic series, but like, it doesn't have like the geographical bedrock of just years and years and years of weird lore that I kind of loved about the Archie series. Even after that series had like a universe clearing reboot after all the Penders bullshit, like, it still felt like late Archie, like after that Super Genesis wave, but before like it got canceled and then IDW more or less picked it up. Like, that was a very interesting period. I think Ian Flynn did a lot of good work there.
Yeah, that seems a thing that happens to every comic that goes on for too long. It always has kind of that event that retcons everything to
Exactly.
kind of clear the lore, because the lore gets too. I guess it gets too convoluted.
I'm not a big
after
comic guy, but like, I always liked reading about like the Crisis on Infinite Earth bullshit, because like, they had like decades and decades and decades of just random bullshit happening in these superhero comics, and they just have to like reckon with it all, every now and then.
Yeah, that's the issue when you have too many issues in your comic, I suppose.
Exactly. I couldn't have said it better myself.
It's an issue for a tissue.
Yeah, I need to do a more in-depth look into that new Sonic comic, but like, I kept telling myself like, well, I need to like, I didn't want to, like, when 2 issues were out, like, I wanted to give it time to grow and like, have stuff. And now it's been out for a few years. Now there's actually like a substantial story arc I could talk about. I think I mentioned this even on my last stream, but the Game Apologist has a good series where he sort of has an overview of the IDW comics. But you should also read them yourself too, is my recommendation.
Yeah, maybe I'll read the Archie comics all the way through, because I never did that before. I only read a couple of issues in the '90s.
It's quite the, I don't want to oversell it. I would say it's quite the time investment. It is only a couple hundred issues, which I know it's only a couple hundred issues, but like, you knock out a couple a day, it's not that big a deal. But like, yeah, it is quite the ride trying to get through that whole, because that's a series where the tone changes so much, just like, it's crazy. It's another perfect example. All the Sonic things have this problem where like, it's impossible for them to like maintain a consistent tone.
Yeah. Didn't you say that you were going to do a video on like a different Sonic comic series that came out in the UK, I think?
Oh yeah, I did a video on the Fleetway Sonic comic, but it wasn't like it wasn't as in depth as my Archie one. So I was like, okay, I'll do another part of this later, and that was my last video before I disappeared. So for a long time, that was like just the last one on my channel. So yeah, I kind of owe it to people who've been waiting for a sequel to that particular video for a long time. The only problem is like at the time I felt no problem saying, oh, I'll do a part 2 soon, because like I had just read the whole thing. It was all still pretty fresh in my mind. So now if I want to do a part 2. I have to reread the whole Fleetway again, which isn't that bad because, like I said, it's only a couple hundred issues, and that one is shorter than Archie. And also, there's a lot of weird things about that one where, like, originally it had, like, a bunch of non-Sonic related stuff in there. It was more like a Sega magazine, but then they sort of cut out all that, and it was just Sonic stuff.
Well, Sonic is certainly a very prolific franchise. You could probably start a YouTube channel just covering Sonic-based content.
No, that would never work. Nobody would be interested in that. People only want to hear about weird internet lore stories like stealing soda. Nobody wants to hear about Sonic anymore.
Yeah, I saw that sort of video you did. It reached like, what, 4 million views?
Yeah, it's now the most viewed video on my channel, which is really funny to think about, that it's not a Sonic video anymore. Especially because I had already like written off that top 10 Sonic videos just being like the anomaly, the one video, the outlier that was going to get way more views than anything else on my channel. Just because when I was making that video, I knew that was going to happen. I don't like to like brag like I knew this I was going to get a lot of views. But like I just knew top 10 Sonics is such a stupid, like obviously that's going to get a lot of clicks because just fucking duh, that's just stupid YouTube algorithm bait. But like that's why I intentionally made it like not I want to say not a real video. Like it is a real video, but like I intentionally made it as goofy as possible, and I included stupid people on the list like Mario, and I intentionally ended it with like the Macy's Day Parade balloon because I just knew that would be like people would just be like, "What the fuck is this guy talking about?"
Yeah, I remember that video. Was that like the first viral video you did?
I guess I would say that was my first. I mean, if that counts as a viral video, I guess then yeah, because like that one got a lot of views. Like I had some of my other Sonic-y videos get okay amounts of views, but like, you know, it's always hard to like grasp like what even counts as like popular, you know, because you know, like I remember I got like 10,000 subscribers. It's like, this is amazing. I'm the biggest channel of all time, like, you know. And that's what I was basing on, like, whether my videos got a lot of attention or not. And obviously now I'm a slightly bigger channel. Although, you know, I try not to do this kind of thing because I don't want to, like, you know, there's people out there who, like, work really hard just to get, like, 1,000 subs. I don't want them to feel bad. But like, I just want to say, like, you know, no matter how many subs or whatever you get, how many views you get, it'll always, like, normalize. Like, it used to be, like, I got 10,000 views on a video. I was like, holy shit, that's amazing. Now if I put out a video that only got 10,000 views, I'd be like, holy shit, this is horrible. Nobody liked this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's all relative.
Exactly.
Relative to the size of your channel.
Right. So that's why I'm saying don't focus too much on the numbers. That's why I'm trying to lead to like a positive, uplifting thing. Like don't focus too much on the numbers. I mean, you can't just ignore them, I guess, if you're trying to be a YouTuber. But like, you know, focus on the content. Try to make good content. I just want my content to be like evergreen. You know, like anyone could just peruse some of the older videos on my channel and they'd still be okay and worth watching. Whereas, you know, there's just some channels who just only focus on like disposable videos. You know, like the kind of video like in a year nobody would want to watch. You know.
Yeah, that's something I like to try to do is make rewatchable videos, which it doesn't seem like anybody else tries to do that on YouTube.
Yeah, I think the algorithm rewards you more for pumping out videos on the regular, you know, and getting that consistent engagement. But I don't know, that's just never really been my thing. Making videos regularly, that's not my thing, man.
Well, that makes two of us, I suppose.
For sure. I appreciate your shorts, honestly. I honestly, most of the time I see people do shorts on YouTube, I'm like, what is the point of this short? It feels like I'm just like a wasted time. Like, I don't even understand. Like, what is YouTube trying to be TikTok? But I always appreciate yours because they're just short, they're to the point, they usually got some kind of funny pun, and it's usually just some kind of cool video game thing that I either didn't know or I did know because I'm, you know, if you're talking about Sonic or something.
Yeah, I would imagine it's pretty difficult for me to make something that you didn't know because you're
no, but I like your Mega Man stuff. Like I appreciate those because I'm just not the biggest Mega Man head, but like I do like the series a lot.
Well, I try to make them as good as I can within the format. So, you know, maybe they're good. Maybe some people appreciate them, and if they're not, oh well. You know, I think I did my best with what you can do with a short.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I don't even know what I would do trying to make a video that short. It's just, I mean, I have my second channel, but that's more like, I can make a short video, but it's like a shit post, you know? It's like a 10-second long meme, like not like a short actual video, but whatever. I guess that's normal on like TikTok and stuff. They just have like trained people to make shorter videos, I guess.
Well, it's best to do whatever you enjoy doing and whatever your audience is into. So, you know, you're into weird Sonic lore videos, and your audience seems pretty receptive to that. So,
yeah, maybe I'd experiment with it on the main channel. But I just like to have my main channel be for my main videos. We'll see. I don't want to rule out. I don't want to say like I'll never make a short. You'll never see a YouTube short from me. Never. Like I don't know. We'll see. I'll try harder to think if I can come up with something like that.
Well, I'm not necessarily recommending you do them. I'm just
right. Yeah,
saying you should.
It's
just
if
do
you want to do it,
feel.
make the kind of content you think is best. I'm just like, I just like never even thought about it. That's what I was saying. It was like, yeah, whatever. Just completely. YouTube will always implement things I don't care about, and then they'll remove things I do care about, like the dislikes.
Yeah, I saw that. That's.
It's just funny. Like at this point, I don't even want to complain about it because it's like, whatever. What's the point? They're just gonna do it. Everyone, like no creators I've seen have been like, I want this to happen. It's been like universal backlash, and it's like the only thing that bothers me is they're like, we're doing this to protect small creators. Like they're literally doing it to protect corporations and prevent, you know, companies from being embarrassed when their videos get massively like disliked. It's like, it's not about the small creators. That's the part that really bothers me. Just be honest, YouTube. We can't even like, you can't even do anything. Like we can't like go to another website. We're stuck with you either way. You might as well just be honest.
Well, you've been using YouTube for a very long time, so this sort of thing really shouldn't surprise you by this
It doesn't.
point.
I'm legitimately still salty, still seething and coping over the removal of annotations, which was such a pointless feature. Like even if you had to disable them because you didn't like them, They didn't work on mobile, so a lot of people couldn't see them for a long time. You know what they should have done? Just make them work on mobile, guys. Come on, jeez. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, YouTube used to have the 5-star system instead of thumbs up and thumbs down, or
I at
likes
least
and dislikes.
understand why they switched to thumbs up and thumbs down, because they were like, we like looked at that data, and it's like 99% of votes are like 5 stars or 1 star. Like very few people were bothering to rate things like 2, 3, or 4 stars,
And YouTube used to, I don't know if you remember, used to have like a friends list, and you used to get private messages.
Private messages. Yeah, they not only removed the ability to private message, they removed your ability to see your old private messages. It's so stupid. Like, I was trying to find some old private message stuff. The only record I have that exists is I can search like decade plus old emails in my Gmail account that were like, you got a private message from so and so on YouTube, and it'll be like, here's the message, and I get to read the first like 2 sentences of it, and then it gives me the ... and then it's like, click here to read the rest, and I click it, and it's gone. I can't read it anymore.
Yeah, if it's a feature that was once available on YouTube, you can bet your ass that they're going to remove it some point later in the future.
I don't know what it is. It's just like, once you're like a designer on YouTube, like I said, they don't have any competition. They have no one forcing them to be better. So they just have to constantly be changing things in order to justify to Google why they should keep their job. Because, they can't just be like, you can't just be a website designer and show up and be like, well, I've decided the website's perfect and it doesn't need to be changed. So will you keep giving me money, please? No, they have to keep making all these pointless, unnecessary changes just to keep their jobs. It sucks. And like, yes, YouTube has added some good things over the years, like HD video and like 60 FPS. But like, that's just like, duh, of course they added that. I'm not really going to pat them on the back too hard for that. And again, it took them a long time because, like you said, I remember I used YouTube as my tertiary backup host. Vidler was my main guy. I thought Vidler was good, and I'd be around forever. Well, I didn't specifically think they'd be around forever, but I wasn't really concerned with that at the time I was making Let's Plays. I just knew they were going to be around for the foreseeable future, which was, the next couple years. But they all gone. They're all gone. All my fucking video hosts I used to are all gone except fucking Dailymotion, which is like I don't even know how or why that site is still active, but it's still up to somewhere. But nobody likes it. Nobody wants to use Dailymotion.
Well, I think YouTube threatened to remove dislikes long ago, and they didn't.
Yeah, that's how they do these stupid
they
changes. They say they're going to do it, and they get a huge amount of backlash, and then they just wait a long time, and then they just do it anyways. And then it's like, what are we supposed to do? Like, nobody, I don't say nobody. I'm sure there's like few people out there who are like, yeah, good, fuck dislikes. I don't care. But like, you should like dislikes. If you don't like dislikes, you don't understand the situation. I don't understand.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I knew they were going to do this eventually, because when you look at all the other social media platforms right now, they don't have a dislike button.
Right.
They only have a like or favorite button for the most
Well,
part.
I don't need to rehash every point he makes, but like Lemon has a good video where he talks about why you should like dislikes, and it's like they have been minimizing it for a while because it used to be this bright green/red bar, and then they changed it to it's green and gray, and now it's gray and gray. Like likes are gray and dislikes are a slightly different shade of gray, so it's even less catching to the eye. Usually, like, you click on a video, and if it was massively disliked, you'd see this huge red bar out of the corner of your eye. It was like a lightsaber thing, and it was like, holy shit. You just knew some shit was up. Now you at least have to glance down and look at the dislike bar, which is like, even then, no, we can't let you. And come on, if they actually gave a shit, if they actually even pretended to give a shit, they would make this an opt-out feature. Like, okay, dislikes are going to be invisible by default, because you can already make likes and dislikes invisible, but everyone knows, because you have to enable it. Everyone knows if you turn that on, it's because your video got a huge amount of dislikes. So they could have just made that the default, and then you can turn on visible dislikes if you want to. But to my knowledge, that's not even going to be possible. They just don't even give you a choice, and they have the audacity to say this is about giving you a voice or whatever. Like, fucking, I'm getting heated thinking about this. I hate these motherfuckers at YouTube.
Well, the weird thing is that they're removing dislikes, but I think you can still dislike a video.
Yeah, they're not removing the dislike button. They're removing public, visible dislikes. That's it. So, like, even if getting a lot of dislikes hurt your feelings, you still can see them in your public. Like, their thing was like, well, you don't have to see dislikes unless you go out of your way to look for them. It's like, God, you're so stupid. Just shut the fuck up. Obviously, you're constantly telling creators to look at their analytics, and now you're like, well, you don't have to look at your analytics if it's going to hurt your feelings. Just like, if you can't look at your analytics without your feelings getting hurt, don't be a fucking YouTuber.
Well, I can tell you what's going to happen in the future, which is that they're eventually going to remove the dislike button entirely.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Because there's no point. Well, it's a useless feature at this point. The amount of likes on a video means nothing to me. It's basically just a slightly less than the view count, but, like, it doesn't matter. It's not useful information anymore. There's, like, likes and dislikes are probably going to go down across the board, because why bother? I used to just leave a like on any video by a creator I thought was kind of nice, because I just wanted to leave them, help their ratio, help their positive to like to dislike ratio, help them in the algorithm. now I'm not fucking liking anything anymore. If I like a video a lot and I want to watch it again, I'll add it to my favorites or whatever. But like that's it.
Yeah, but that's where they're headed. They just want to eventually get rid of the dislikes entirely. So enjoy the dislike button while you still can, because in a couple of years it's definitely going away.
You're absolutely right about that. They're slowly rolling across the globe. I don't know how they're deciding how to do it. Like, I can still see dislikes. I can still go on YouTube and see public dislikes, but they're like slowly doing it. Like a lot of people I know I'm posting on Twitter already like can't see dislikes. And I think the reason they didn't do it all at once is because they don't want it trending again. They don't want people yelling at them again. So they're just going to slowly do it piece by piece by piece, It's so shitty. Fucking motherfuckers. I hate them. But I don't have a choice. I have to be on YouTube. It's not like I can be on another video hosting website.
Yeah, I also still see dislikes on my stuff, but I'm sure that's gonna go away eventually.
Yeah, I'm honestly it's
I don't really understand how they do that. How they like roll it out only to certain select people.
It's weird.
It's kind of weird.
It is very weird. I don't really understand. Like, to me, there's probably a real technical reason. I'm like being a conspiracy theorist, but to me, it really feels like they just don't want to do it all at once, because they know if they do it all at once, everyone's gonna tweet about it at the same time. They're gonna get on trending. They're gonna get more negative attention. It's ridiculous. The video that's like we're removing dislikes right now has like, if you can still see them, you can see it has like 10K likes, like 150K dislikes. Like, this is universally reviled, but they're just going to pretend it wasn't. And guess what? In the future, when they make decisions like this, we're not going to know how universally reviled it was, because we're not going to be able to see the motherfucking dislike bar. And it's like, oh, this will just encourage better comments. First of all, no, it won't. But second of all, it's going to encourage more harassing comments. But third of all, it doesn't matter, because you're not going to be able to look at the comment section to see if people like the video or not, because you can remove comments. You can remove any negative comments about you if you want. I mean, I don't personally do that, but like, you can. It's not like you can really truly use the comment section to grasp if people like a video or not.
Well, ironically, the video about removing dislikes has one of the most dislikes ever.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the worst ratios for sure. Because like the list of like most disliked videos is all like Justin Bieber music video, because those videos just have like 100 million views. So like they like has 1 million dislikes, but it's like, it's not even but like whatever. The point is, it sucks. Fuck you. I don't even remember how we got on this, but I think we're talking about like annotations or something.
Well, if Sonic 06 had a trailer put out now, you won't know how many dislikes it has.
I guess, although to be fair, Sonic 06 had some alright trailers. They made the game look way better than the actual final copy.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But I retweeted a guy, Hikomori Media, made a little good tweet about this. It was just like, he remembers when public YouTube dislikes change history for the course of the better, which is, on the Sonic movie trailer. Like, it's a lot easier to imagine a reality where they ignored the public backlash if there wasn't a giant visible bar saying everyone hates this under the Sonic movie trailer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I saw that, and that's an excellent point, actually, because the Sonic movie benefited from there being a dislike bar, probably.
Mm-hmm. There's no doubt in my mind that the movie, like, it might have been a funny meme movie people went to see to laugh at, but like, it would have done way worse if it went on with that ugly Sonic design. Although I think I said this a million times too, but like, part of me is sad we never got to see that ugly Sonic design movie. It would have been kind of funny.
Yeah, in the same way, Sonic 06 can be kind of funny with its horrible glitches and weird nonsense.
I was just ready for that movie to be a disaster. Like, before even that ugly Sonic design got announced, I was just ready for that movie to be a complete disaster and have Sonic be a total laughingstock again. And then the trailer dropped. I was like, of course, it's just as bad as I feared. So I was honestly pretty happy that like the movie got changed, and it wasn't like the best movie ever or anything. It was kind of generic, whatever, alien animal befriends a human thing. But it was fine. The fact it wasn't a disaster makes it a huge success in my eyes.
Yeah, that's the motto of any Sonic fan. If it's not horrible, then it's a huge success.
That's what our standards have been reduced to. Anything, and I'm going to be the same way, where I'm going to try and give an honest, fair, real appraisal of the new Sonic game, especially if it's like a new open worldy, trying a new thing kind of thing. But like, if it's just pretty good, I'll honestly be pretty happy.
Did you make a video on Sonic Forces?
I didn't. I was going to, and there's stuff I could say. I always there's a lot of things I should make a video on that I didn't. But it's just like, I don't know. I just was like, I was in such a good mood after Mania, and then like 1 month later, fucking Forces had to drop. I just didn't want to be all negative about it. And plenty of other good videos, like Ellis Mark had a good video about Forces. There's good videos about Forces out there. Maybe I'll make one, especially now that I've had a lot of time to digest. But I don't know. We'll see. I don't really have that many complex thoughts on Forces that, I don't have any unique takes, I should say. Like, it's pretty bad because of all the reasons everyone says it's bad. A lot of wasted potential is like the main thing. I think that's the video on Splash Dash, something about like Sonic Force's wasted potential or missed potential, because that's really what it was about for me.
Well, my favorite thing about Sonic Forces is the sales ratio between Sonic Mania and Sonic Forces.
Yeah, definitely. The Forces guy is like a fucked up, like, they always like to brag about how many people have installed Forces, but it's only because they made it free on PlayStation Plus, you know what I mean? Like, the amount of sales it actually made was probably not very good, especially compared to Mania.
Yeah, I saw the sales figures comparing Mania and Forces, and Mania sold like way more than Forces, so I'm
Mania
pretty
was
pleased to see
also
that.
cheaper than Forces. It was $20 versus $40, which is like, you know, imagine if we lived in a world where like they didn't sell them separately. Like, you could only buy this one $60 game called, like, I don't know, whatever, the new Sonic, and it was Sonic Forces and Sonic Mania. That would be kind of crazy. Like, I'm almost surprised they didn't do something that shitty. They were desperate to get people to buy Forces.
Well, I think I kind of looked at it as they released Sonic Mania for the old school Sonic fans and Sonic Forces for like the newer fans.
Right.
Because for a while they were kind of doing that balancing act of trying to please old Sonic fans and also new Sonic fans.
Exactly.
Because there's a bit of a divide in the Sonic fan community between people that like the old games.
It's one of the most fractured, like, it's fractured in a million different ways. But yeah, that's a big one. The big one that you mentioned is like the classic Sonic fans, the old school boomer heads, and just the newer kids. There's actually like a lot of kids who grew up with like adventure games and stuff, like Heroes is like their first, like, to them that's what Sonic is, you know. To me, like, it's not that I'm saying it has to be 2D, but like when I first imagine Sonic, when you say Sonic, like a Sonic game, the first thing that pops in my head is those Genesis games, you know.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much why they made Sonic Generations the way that they did, you know, with...
Yeah, honestly, I appreciate the way that, like,
classic.
sort of, like, obvious, okay, it's almost asinine to say, like, oh yeah, I really appreciate Sonic Generations as a Sonic, like a huge Sonic fan. Of course, it's full of fan service, but like, I just appreciate the way it was like attempt to like get everyone hyped about the whole series' history, you know, like maybe there's like it's even crazy to even think about, but yeah, there's like kids who play Sonic Generations who never played the Genesis games, and like that was their first time going through Green Hill Zone and Chemical Plant Zone and stuff, you know. Maybe that got them interested in trying out the Genesis games. Like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's something that I always am fascinated by. Somebody that didn't grow up with these games going back and playing the older ones.
Yeah, in my mind, I know this isn't true, but like in my mind, yeah, like every Sonic fan is just like me, just a hardened boomer who's been around since the Genesis days, but that's not even close to really being true.
Yeah, there's a lot of new Sonic fans and kids that got into Sonic later on. Because Sonic is just a very appealing little blue hedgehog guy.
Yeah, I'll always say this, and I mean, I don't even know if I could like truly justify this if you like press me on it super hard, because I'm not like a character designer, but I truly believe Sonic will just be incredibly enduring just because he just has like an objectively amazing character design that like totally, like the blue spikes, everything about him is just like perfectly communicates that he's like fast, he's cool. It's just a good character design. Like, I like Mario, but like, you know, he's just like a guy. He was designed around the limitations of like the how can we design a character that can fit into like an 8x8 fucking pixel slot? You know what I mean? That's like why he has a mustache.
Yeah, even Aaron Hansen, who is a self-proclaimed Sonic hater, admits that the Sonic character design is pretty good.
There's something about Sonic, dude. There's something about Sonic. Even if you're like one of those people that's like furries, he's a cringe furry, he sucks, I hate Sonic. Like, I feel like even those people, part of their soul must resonate. They must know that Sonic is cool deep down. They must just be in denial about it. That's my take.
Yeah. Well, it's that's I guess one of the other good things you can say about Sonic 06. It has Sonic in it, and he has a cool design.
Exactly. It's still a Sonic game, all things considered.
Oh, and I don't think we mentioned this, but I should probably mention it. Sonic 06 does actually have a really good soundtrack.
Oh yeah, almost every Sonic game. I would say every Sonic game, but you know, someone's gonna bring up, oh, what about Chronicles? What about Eraser? But basically, every Sonic game has just a great soundtrack, and 06 in particular has an amazing orchestral soundtrack. Just really great stuff. Really does help. Honestly, makes the game less miserable to play, just because at least when you're struggling, you can groove to some good music.
Yeah. That's the thing Sonic has in common with Mega Man, besides they're both blue.
Yeah,
is that
people love Mega Man music. I always hear that, and I'm always like, I'm not always like defensive about it, but I'm always hear people are like, "What's the best video game music ever?" I'm always like popping. Like, I gotta say Sonic, and like, there's when people saying Mega Man, I'm like, oh, he's blue. He can't have better music than Sonic. There's only room for one blue guy to have good music. But yeah, every time I listen to a Mega Man track, they're fucking incredible. Especially like even on the NES, they were pumping out fucking bangers. It's crazy.
Yeah, the thing they have in common, besides good music, is that even when they make a bad game, the music is usually still pretty good.
That's good. Honestly, like I just said with Sonic 06, bad music can, playing a bad game that doesn't even have good music, it's got to be very depressing.
Yeah, it is kind of unusual though, because normally when there's a bad game, it also usually has bad music.
Right.
So it's kind of weird with Sonic, and
Yeah, it
sometimes
is
Mega
kind of
Man
funny how
that.
consistently they've been able to do good music. Even Forces doesn't have the greatest soundtrack, but like it has some good songs. It's not. I wouldn't call it bad. It's just certainly not bad. It's just like it doesn't. The only reason I'm so critical of Forces is because it's a fucking Sonic game, and I expect nonstop fucking bangers the entire goddamn soundtrack.
Yeah, that's true. And Sonic 06 is kind of weird because it has actually like one of the best Sonic soundtracks. It's like better than usual, even when compared to a
It's
lot of other
really
Sonic games.
legitimately great. It's not even just like another good Sonic soundtrack. It's very very good. Like stage tracks are very great. They're atmospheric. The character songs are the butt rock is at its best. All like Shadow song. There's some great stuff in there. Silver song, Dreams of Absolution. There's a lot of great stuff. And his world. It's not my favorite Sonic theme personally, but like it's a great one. It's a great one, and a lot of people love it. A lot of people probably would say it's their favorite.
Yeah, I think when I first listened to it, I think the song. I'm not sure if this is the case anymore. I can't remember, but I think the soundtrack might have leaked before the game came out.
I wouldn't have been surprised. I mean, his world was in a lot of fucking promotional material too.
Because I remember downloading the soundtrack, I think before I played the game, and I was just really impressed with the music, especially aquatic bass.
Yeah, that was one of the ones I was thinking of. Was like, this very atmospheric like tracks. Even some of the more not some of the levels get a little generic at times, but the soundtrack goes a long way to help keep it fresh in your mind.
Yeah, there's aquatic bass on Crisis City, and a lot of those. A lot of those are really good. Really straight up like them. It's kind of a shame though that such a good soundtrack was wasted on such a terrible game.
Yeah, it would have been cool if like all those tracks could contribute towards a better game. And the saddest part is just that most people, your average normal person ain't out there like, what am I going to listen to today? How about the entire Sonic 06 soundtrack? So they're never going to hear a lot of them. Like even if they do decide to put on a couple of them, I don't know. Not that you should be listening to Sonic soundtracks, but it's just kind of sad to think about. But like even in the context of just playing the game, a lot of it's great. Like I legitimately like the last stream, I like was like I forgot how amazing the just the sound that plays, the music that plays when you're in the extras menu on the main menu. You go to the extras, like it plays a super chill, relaxing track. It was like holy shit. Another like I forgot about this how good this particular song was.
That's one soundtrack I definitely downloaded and listened to multiple times because it's honestly one of the best. It's
It's
quite
great.
good indeed.
If you're listening to this, if you're listening to this podcast, you should listen. You should go back in time and start it over, but listen to Sonic 06 music in the background the whole time.
Yeah, the only other thing I think we didn't mention was how Sonic 06 seems to take a lot of inspiration from like Final Fantasy for some reason.
Yeah, that opening cutscene in particular, like, is very like when there's just the human characters you haven't even seen Sonic yet. It almost feels like it could just be from a Final Fantasy game. Like if you showed people just the first part of that cutscene and they weren't like enough of a Sonic fan to recognize Elise from the Kiss cutscene or whatever, then they might not. I mean, it would honestly be. I mean, probably wouldn't be able to guess it. I mean, maybe there's. I mean, I'm not sure where you could draw the cutoff because there's the part where she is the Vision and she like sees Silver or whatever. But
Well, the actual game is like nothing like Final Fantasy, but that particular opening video.
the vibe, the game just has a weird aesthetic. Like it's. I don't want to say it's trying to be too serious because that cutscene isn't even really that. Like Sonic shows up and is fine. Honestly, it's a good cutscene. It's like it's not like amazing. It's not like as good as like Unleashed's opening cutscene, but it's fine. You know.
Yeah, it's a fairly good looking cutscene. It's an FMV, I think.
Yeah, I think it was by like the same studio, like Blur Studio. I could be wrong with it. I forget who does who has done all of the CGI cutscenes on like all the Sonic games in the past. But yeah, a lot of them have. I always forget like Shadow was a cool CGI cutscene. Sonic 06 has some cool CGI cutscenes, and Unleashed has one like I just mentioned. I always forget because there's not a lot of CGI cutscenes, but when they show up, they're pretty good usually.
Yeah, that I just saw on your stream the other day the cutscene, the ending cutscene to Shadow's story where he takes off his limiters and kind of fights against all
Right.
those
Yeah, I like that
clones.
cutscene. It's fun. It's cute. I like the power bracelet thing. Like it's a little weird, but it's cool. It's just a cool moment, which is exactly what I want, honestly. Just give me some cool moments.
That's a legitimately good moment from Sonic 06, which you
Right?
don't
Yeah.
see often, but
There's a couple shadow cutscenes, like when it's not getting bogged down with the stupid time travel bullshit, when he's just like chilling with Rouge and Omega. Like, there's some legitimately good stuff in there, which is again surprising because it's Sonic 06, and no, like when you think of the story of Sonic 06, you don't think of good. It's like one of the last adjectives that would come to your mind. But there's some legitimately good stuff in the Shadow storyline, and there's some stuff that's like I want to say is good about Silver's, but it's like I don't know. There's a lot of bullshit with like the time travel bullshit on that one.
yeah, the time travel thing I think is probably the worst part of the story because it's just unnecessary and it kind of just makes everything really messy and stupid and
Right. Like, I
immature.
understand why they wanted to bring, because, like, okay, we want to have this, like, Trunks-like character, like Silver. He's from the future. So it's like, but they couldn't just bring him in from the future. They had to go balls deep with the time travel and have all the time traveling stuff, the past, the future. You know, we already went over it, but, like, yeah, I completely agree with you. Like, they could have just made the story with less time travel. I know it sounds dumb to say, but, like, it would have been, if they made the story less dumb time travel, don't have the kiss. Those two things would really fix a lot of problems with the story. Just those two things.
Oh yeah, I remember that kiss that revived Sonic at the end when he
Right.
died.
Everyone
That
goes
was
crazy
pretty
about
good.
that. I just don't know why. Like, beyond the fact that furry, cringe, human kissing furry, cringe. Even beyond that, just like the fact that Sonic was brought back to life with a kiss. That's like something you'd find in like a bargain bin Disney movie. You know what I mean? Like a
Yeah,
Disney
that was,
direct to DVD sequel. Like, what the fuck is this power of love bullshit? This is fucking stupid.
And also Sonic 06, it bears mentioning that it has the worst Eggman design ever.
Yeah, like I sort of, it's so weird because I agree with you. Like I don't like it. Like I don't want that to be what Eggman looks like. But like it's interesting. It's just interesting that they even bothered trying to make a quote unquote realistic Eggman. It looks so strange. It looks so strange.
Yeah, my favorite Eggman design has always been the classic design
I love him in the
from the
classic. He
Genesis
looks just
games.
so perfectly round and egg shaped. Honestly, I kind of like his boom design. He's not even like he's kind of almost looks buff in that. He's kind of cool. I like. It's not that I would want that to be his default design. I just think it's a cool take on Eggman.
Yeah, that design, I saw it. It's not bad. It's pretty okay. And there's the Sonic Adventure design, which kind of became the standard for most of the modern Sonic
Yeah,
games.
he pretty much has just been like that since then. I mean, the model's been refined a bit, but apart from that one deviation in '06 where they sort of tried changing him, they're like, oh, never mind, that didn't happen. Everyone, please forget about that. Because it's funny, because like, yeah, the Sonic 06 does have some other weird character quirks. Like the characters' legs are a little longer, the characters are just elongated or taller in general. But like, Sonic still looks like Sonic, and in Unleashed Sonic doesn't look that different from '06 Sonic, whereas '06 Eggman and Unleashed Eggman look completely different.
Yeah, that's kind of unsettling. It's like an uncanny valley kind of thing.
It really was because I mean, I get it because I specifically raised this not complaint, but this just I mentioned this in my like Sonic Adventure video, I think, or if I don't mention it, I mentioned this somewhere. Which is it's just having Eggman interact with other human beings can get weird because he just has such cartoony proportions, and if you want to have him exist in a world with other humans, it makes more sense to be like Unleashed with the more Pixar looking humans. I know not everyone likes the Pixar humans. Some people like the more generic looking anime like humans in like Adventure, which is fine. But I don't know. I understand why they felt like they had to change it, but they didn't. They didn't do a good job.
That's actually one thing I sort of kind of dislike about Sonic Adventure 1 when they introduced the humans, the normal looking humans into the universe.
It was kind of weird. Like it's funny because like you can't get too upset because like ever since day one, Sonic has had two characters: Sonic the Hedgehog and Eggman the human. So you can't say humans aren't allowed to be in Sonic. But like, it was just because like being realistic was the coolest shit ever. At Sonic, that was their like on the Dreamcast. Like at the time, Station Square and all those people like, oh my god, wow! It's like, it's not that I thought it was the most realistic thing I've ever seen, but like like wow, it was just considered cool at the time. Like people didn't want to be like totally surreal. Like it was more of a flex to show off like a realistic city.
Well, it's like you said, this more Pixar-like designs and Sonic Unleashed made more sense, given Eggman doesn't look like a real human, so it would have made sense for all the other humans to kind of look cartoony like Eggman.
Right.
So seeing like realistic humans and also like a realistic planet Earth, it just seemed kind of weird from I guess a story perspective.
It was kind of weird going from like 3K to SA1. Like beyond just the jump to 3D, there's something different about the vibes of those games. Even though it's like there's a lot of things SA1 does that is sort of a nice continuation of the classic games, but even there's like some NPC dialogue that sort of implies that all that stuff happened, but it's just sort of strange. I agree with you. I can't like say whether I think it's bad necessarily or good. Just like I agree that it was a strange change, but it makes sense like why they would do it. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, I suppose it makes sense, but it's just kind of weird because in the Genesis games, it feels like Sonic takes place in a magical, like fantastical world with loop-de-loops and stuff.
Yeah,
And
it's
then,
weird because
Sonic
like
Adventure.
the background, sometimes you'd see like what looks like a cityscape, but you never imagined Sonic walking around like a New York City type environment. Although, I mean, it's funny, people always made the jokes when like when Mario Odyssey or whatever came out, and like the videos and pictures of him in New Donk City, Mario next to the other humans, that looks fucking weird.
Yeah, that's true. But I think in Mario Odyssey, the explanation is that Mario is kind of going to all these weird alternate locations.
Right.
And maybe there's the implication that these take place in different dimensions or something.
One of the weirdest things about SA1, I just be able to put my finger on it, is the way that nobody at all, and I'm not even saying I want them to be like this, but nobody at all is like weirded out that there's like a giant talking hedgehog. Like the idea that anthropomorphic animals are like totally normal, except you never see any of them except like the main characters, it's just sort of strange.
Yeah, this is something that the comics definitely handled way better because they provided like an actual explanation for all of that.
Yeah, the Station Square lore in Archie was extremely strange. It was like a subterranean city or some bullshit, but like at least it was like, they acknowledged they had to explain it, It was actually kind of funny watching like, there was actually very specific lore about like humans in the Archie Sonic universe. They were called like Overlanders or Outlanders or some bullshit. And then like all of a sudden they just get word from Sega like you have to adapt Sonic Adventure 1, which has like a human city. And they're just like, how the fuck are we going to make this fit with our established lore? You know what I mean? So they had to go out of their way to like make some weird explanation,
Well, that's the kind of thing that if they just kept everything like in the Genesis games, you wouldn't have to explain any of that stuff. But because they chose to go in that direction, not explaining that stuff just seems weird.
It was just kind of weird that you're just meant to like take it for granted that Sonic was always just chilling out with humans in his spare time, I guess, except I don't know. It's a little weird, but I don't know. Like I said, it's just one of those things you have to get used to, I guess.
In a post-Sonic 06 world, it doesn't even matter anymore. Like, it doesn't even register on the radar as something to be concerned about.
Exactly. Although it is kind of weird how nowadays, like in Sonic Forces, there are no other humans. Like they've gone back on that. Like now they only just want to show generic animal people, which again, I have no problem if that's the direction they want to take. It's just weird to backtrack and like, what are we just retroactively pretending humans don't exist now? And then it's like, if humans don't exist now, what does that mean about like, did Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 happen? What's going on over here?
Well, I think it's probably kind of like Mario at this point where they might be separate Sonic canons. Maybe it doesn't all take place in the same universe.
Sonic canon is just such a messy thing, and people who go to conventions like ask Iizuka point blank, like, "What? Tell me about this Two Worlds thing," and he's like, he just coming up with the shit off the top of his head. They just don't care about the Sonic canon, so it's kind of an asinine. Like, if you shouldn't care too much either, because they don't. They're the people actually making it.
It's really the same like Mario. Nobody, the creators don't care about the Mario canon, so there basically is no Mario canon. It's just, if you want to like have an explanation that makes sense, you can just think of every Mario game or every Sonic game just taking place in its own universe.
Right, for sure.
Because even games that reference other ones, like Sonic Heroes, I think references the end of Sonic Adventure 2 with what happens with Shadow at the end.
Yeah, like there's too much continuity for them to be like, oh, this is just a fresh reboot. Like this is no continuity with the previous ones. So like obviously all the previous games must have happened, but then just weird things happen like that, like the people disappear. So just leaves you with questions.
Even when they reference other games, they sometimes do it in a way that doesn't quite match up with what happened, or doesn't fully make sense.
Right, for sure. And then there's weird things like it's never fully established. Like, what is Hero Story canon in Sonic Adventure 2, or is Dark Story canon? Because there's some slightly conflicting events like Sonic fighting Shadow, but the real answer is just like it doesn't matter. They both happened, and they neither happened. At
the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It's just whatever you want to be canon is canon, and whatever you don't can just
exactly.
ignore it.
I mean, it's just not a series where canon and story is that much of a concern. Which, to be fair, like that's fine. It's Sonic. I don't expect it to be that obsessed with story. But like sometimes it like wants to be obsessed with story, like in Sonic 06. But it's just strange.
Yeah, that's the weird thing, how they kind of go back and forth between kind of caring sometimes and then not caring at all.
Yeah, it is weird, the continuity. Like sometimes they try really hard, sometimes they are like, oh, just don't think about it. So I never know. I'm getting like mixed messages a lot of the time, So it's like that's the reason why there's so many people who care about it.
I would assume maybe it's just because there's different development teams or different people on the teams. So maybe some people have conflicting ideas about whether they should care about the storyline or not.
Right. Well, we've been going for like 2.5 hours. You want to go to voicemails?
I don't do that here, thank
You
God.
what? You don't have an hour-long amount of voicemails? What the fuck?
Nope. That's the great thing about this, is that there's no voicemails.
Wow.
Thank God for that.
This is a next-level podcast, guys. I'm really in shock here. This is great.
Well, we sufficiently covered Sonic 06 and a bunch of other stuff, so... And I think that's a pretty good place to end it. Wouldn't you agree?
Totally. I'm having fun talking, but I do just want to keep it at like a reasonable length for people. I feel like sometimes people like click on, they see a podcast and it's like 3.5 hours. Like I don't have time to listen to all that bullshit.
Yeah. So I hope whoever was listening to this, all you Cyber Shell fans, you enjoyed this kind of thing. And
yeah, I hope we fit in enough Sonic talk for you guys, because I know you guys like that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I also enjoy talking about Sonic. I'm a big Sonic fan myself.
Yeah, totally. I thought before this started, we were going to talk more about internet, just history junk, just because it's like, you've been on the internet for so long, like you've had Gamers Tavern for such a long time, writing reviews and stuff. And it's just pretty cool to me that you have like just the idea that someone has a website, in 2021, just having like a website is awesome.
Well, I don't know about awesome, but it's certainly interesting.
It just feels like everyone's on social media. Nobody wants to have their own actual domain anymore. It is what it is.
Well, this is just an antiquated piece of history at this point, because I started it a long time ago and just never had a reason to get rid of it.
Hell yeah. Well, might as well keep going.
Yeah, that's been my life philosophy. But yeah, I just figured I wanted to talk about something other people would actually care about, because I would enjoy to kind of have that conversation, but I'm not sure if listeners would care.
I think people are interested. I mean, it is like, I don't know if you want to spend like 2.5 hours just talking about internet history. I can see where you're coming from, but like, I don't know. I think people are interested. I think people are cool. Like, it's cool to have like, I think it's cool to have like a game review website and just have that just like a thing to catalog your experiences and whatnot.
Well, perhaps in the future we can do another episode where we talk about that.
Yeah, for sure. I'd be happy to come on again sometime.
All right, so I guess this is a good place to sign off. So I hope you enjoyed listening, and this is Cybershell, the Sonic Lore Master. You can find him on YouTube, right?
Yep. It feels weird to like that someone would get like 2.5 hours in and be like, I wish I could find this Cybershell guy. But yeah, on Twitter I'm at Cybershell, and on YouTube you can just find me by searching for Cybershell. But my channel's URL is Cybershell13, because it used to be cool to have a number in your username, okay?
It's just a formality at this point, obviously.
No, I get it, for sure. You got that's the polite way to end your guest appearances, let them plug their shit. So that's what I did.
And I'm sure nobody cares to find where I'm at, but you're already on the channel, so...
Yeah, you're already listening to the Gamers Tavern show, or whatever this podcast is called, so deal with it.
Right. So you can just find me, as I mentioned in the beginning, at gamerstavern.com. That has links to all my stuff. And hope you enjoyed listening to this, and I'll see you possibly whenever the next episode comes up. So see ya later.
See you later, guys.